Hello, this is the Rusted Brush. I'm here again with Dan. We're going to be taking a look at the Wargames Atlantic line. We're going to be doing a tier list here. I think most of you know who Dan is, but why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. Hey, thanks for having me back. Rusty, can I call you Rusty?
You can call me
We're
Rusty
back.
or Raf. Either one works.
Nice. Yeah, I'm the host of the We Wargame channel. We look at a lot of different miniatures, miniature reviews from different companies, and I'm excited to come back now to talk about Wargames Atlantic with you.
Yeah, for sure. This should be fun. Also, I should share my screen so you can see what I'm looking at also.
Oh, yeah.
That would be probably helpful. So yeah, we've got the tier list
Hey,
here, and then I got their website so we can take a closer look at just the models on their
nice,
website when we're going over them.
nice.
And I have it in USD. I'm Canadian, but if we're going to be talking about prices, it's probably easier just to look at the US price for things.
Sure.
Uh,
In my biased opinion, I think that's great.
yeah, of course. I mean, I think that's just better for the audience all around the world, anyways.
Sure.
In terms of ranks, we have S, which is the models are better than any other company and they're unique. Like no other company kind of makes this kind of model, whatever niche or genre, and it works for multiple conversion kits and whatnot, kind of like that.
Hmm.
A is excellent sculpts. They're just good kits, lots of bits and stuff, but there's something that maybe holds it back just a little bit less than S.
Yep.
B is good, dependable kits, slightly worse or better than other company kits, so could be decent kits, but let's be real, it's probably Victrix, which is making the better kit here.
Hmm.
I have
Sure.
a feeling that's what B is going to be mostly about. C is decent ideas held back by awkward like proportions, repetitive poses, not many bits. Something's just a little bit off with them. And then D is just like frustrating assembly, badly outclassed by other kits, or clunky sculpts. We don't have any F or any other ratings because I think we both agree we like a lot of the Word Games Atlantic kits.
Yeah, I can't think of any like truly awful War Games Atlantic kits. There are some, as you said, it's more to do with frustrating either assembly or lack of certain types of bits. We can talk about those when we get to those kits. So
Yeah.
it's more a D than an F.
And in terms of how we're gonna categorize this, I was just gonna go through like Death Field's Arena, then the Baron's War, the sci-fi ranges, and just go that way. I think that's the best way to do this, so we can talk about the same kind of kits.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's
So
how I have my notes organized too. So it
yeah, I'm
works
just
well for me.
unless you have a better idea, I think we're just gonna start top to bottom on the website. So Death Field Arena, starting with we've got the Grognards.
Yeah.
Um, these are pretty good alternative to Imperial Guard, which I think everything in Death Field is basically going to be about is just replacing guard kits.
Yeah.
I mean, you could use them for any sci-fi game, really, but I feel like that's what they're meant to be used for.
Yeah.
uh,
These are your alternate Vorstroyans, right?
yeah,
From Games Workshop.
exactly. And I think they look pretty good. And yeah, good sculpts, honestly. I like the weapon choices and everything. Some of the depth field weapons I don't like, but this kit I
Yep.
think looks really good. Um, has that Napoleonic vibe down. I don't really have a problem with this kit at all. I've seen a sprue of it in real life, but I haven't really messed around with it. Do you have any thoughts on this one?
I do. I reviewed this one. This is a nice kit, and this is one that was redone. So they had the original like half sprue design. If you imagine, if you're familiar with Board Games Atlantic, there are some half sprues, like they're halflings, pun intended, I guess.
Hmm.
And then there's full sprues. So they actually redid this set within the last couple of years and expanded it out. And what they really added were a lot of different head options. I think it was like 4 or 5 different variant heads per body. It was pretty wild. And yeah, as you said, I like the overall look. I like the weapon design in particular. It's a nice blend of like futuristic and Napoleonic. They did a great job, especially with the revamped set.
And yeah, speaking of Vestron, by the way, this weekend they put out the made to order, and this is just more
Mm.
reason why you should just get this kit instead because I think it's like 23 USD for a single Vestroyan that they just put out. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
actually, I don't know if you mind me rattling it off. I wrote down in my notes here all of, we don't have to talk about price point for every single one because they're kind of around the same ballpark, but the model count, like this is 24 miniatures within this box, as
yeah.
is most of Deathfield's range. So just one more thing to have in mind if you're listening along.
So where do you think we should put this one? I was thinking either B or A. It's not really B. I would say this is probably an A.
I
but
like this one. Yeah, this is probably one of my more. This is my favorites within the depth field range. So yeah, we'll call this one an A. If
uh,
B is our like middle of the pack for our bell curve,
yeah, I
I,
think this
I
is
think
yeah, I think this is better than a lot of other kits. Yeah. Then you know what? We can talk about the other Grognard kits actually, since I have them here. I just put them down.
yeah, I'm gonna
Um,
cross these out as we go.
yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
We've got 89, I think, kits to work with, so less than the
yeah.
seventh edition, but still a lot.
Yeah, buckle up, everybody.
Um, this one I haven't actually seen in person, but I really like the design of this like ball turret thing. It looks cool. They're a little, I guess, a little more World War One ish looking,
Hmm.
and they also have the those caps. I noticed. I don't know what to call those kind of like military cap, but they're kind of like a later period. Uh,
Yeah, it's like French Foreign Legion
yeah,
is kind
that's
of the vibe that I got from
yeah.
it.
So it's cool that they have them. I don't. Oh yeah, and it has the command part of this as well, so you can have like the
That is
banner.
the thing I like so much about this because there's been a lot of debate recently about the way Wargames Atlantic is packaging some of their more recent command sets. Maybe we can talk about those when we get to them, but this is one I think really good example of how it should be done.
Hmm.
Where because commands you don't need 30 command models, so it's this question of what do you bundle it with, or do you sell it as a standalone sprue, and then you've got a much higher per model cost typically.
Yeah,
And I think this is a good compromise, which is that everybody's gonna need a little bit of heavy weapons, everybody's gonna need a little bit of command. So this is a good way to bundle it, I think.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
And it comes with 6 guns, if I read that correctly.
Yeah, I was
In
just
addition to the command
double
sprue.
checking the sprue. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't really have a problem. This is a good way to, like you said, this is a great way to package like a command set, but also not have like a bajillion also other people, just having the extra guns. And
Yep.
like realistically, if you're playing probably 40K or something for a guard, you're gonna want both of these things anyways. Like this is a good kit. Um,
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of like that weird fist thing. I'm sure
Yeah.
I'm sure some people like it, but in my opinion, it just looks dumb. Yeah, but I'm not
Yeah,
gonna.
they did a better job with their damned range that they just put out. I guess they sculpted it years ago, but are just now shipping out where they've aligned a little more closely, shall we say, with Games Workshop design, and I think that was for the better.
Yeah, I think this is just probably going beside it. I don't think there's a
Yeah.
problem here. Yeah, command support, and then the cavalry is next. And yeah, again, replacing the Rough Riders. I thought this was one of the cooler sets actually, just because I like sci-fi horses and stuff.
Hmm. Yeah,
Uh,
with the bomb lances, does it come with those bomb lances?
I don't think it comes with bomb lances, does it?
No, maybe just regular
I
ones.
think they're just
Again,
regular.
I'm mixing it now with the damned cavalry that I just reviewed.
Yeah, those kits aren't out, so I didn't
No, they're
put them
not.
on the tier list,
No.
unfortunately. Yeah, they're just normal spears. One of them looks really thin in compared to the other ones, which is interesting.
Mm,
Um, I guess different design choices, but I really like how these guys look on horses. And this, I feel like this could work for other things as well. More than the other kits somehow. Like I feel like this would be good for like Turnip 28 or something like that as well.
for
Um,
sure, just with some head swaps or something like that, there's a whole lot you could do. I,
y-
I will say, in terms of design, I don't like the barding in the front as much. It's a little bit shallow for me, but I like the overall look. And one thing that we need to give them credit for here is that this makes for a pretty darn complete Voidstroyan alternative range between
yeah,
the infantry, the command, heavy weapons, and the cavalry. Like, you can make a whole army.
yeah,
And
exactly. And then you can just use really any tanks you want to kind of fill it
yeah,
out.
exactly.
Yeah, I
There are
kind of.
even some like 148 scale like World War I tanks I think would look really cool with
Oh
those
yeah.
modifications.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, I kind of agree. I'm not a big fan of like this head here. Like, I
Mm.
think I would have preferred to see gas masks on the horses' heads.
Yeah, yeah.
I,
And that,
I,
in fact, I keep going back to it. I know it's not high up at the damned range. That's what they did with the cavalry and that.
well, I still like it, and like you said, this is a great way to just kind of have the whole line. If you want to do Vestroyan or some other unique Imperial Guard, just use these instead.
Yep.
For a lot cheaper too, because this is 9 figures. Also, that's an
Yeah, that's my
interesting.
only other gripe. Yeah, the weird model count 9, and I think the sprues are multiples of 3. Yeah, so they could
Yeah,
have. included one more to make it our kind of standard expectation of 12 for a cavalry box.
Yeah, I agree. $40, pretty good price still.
Yeah, I still can't complain. We're still within the right, per model price,
Like
but it is just noteworthy.
if this was 8 figures, I don't think I would have minded even. But
Mhm.
if you're giving me 9, just give me 10.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. So that's it from the Grognards. Then we have the Romjager. I'm not German, so I don't know my pronunciation that well, but
I think it's Raumjäger,
something hunter. I don't
but
know.
my German is abysmal as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, something hunter.
And these I think are still the half sprues, as far as I can tell. I don't think they redid this kit yet.
No, this is an earlier one of theirs. But in fact, it might be one of the very first Death Fields sets they put out.
Yeah, I remember this very, very early on. Um, their heads look very wonky to me, like they're stretched
Mm.
out.
I think what it is the bodies are too wide as well. Like if you look at them
Yeah,
front on, they're stocky boys. So, but this is as close as you're gonna get to like alternate Cadian shock troopers, other than the Iron Core range, which we'll talk about in a bit. That's more Space Marine adjacent, I guess. But
yeah,
yeah, they're okay as generic, sci-fi trooper kind of guys. And I think they are versatile enough, like the bits that are included, especially if you paint them differently, to where you can make them bad guys, you can make them quote unquote good guys,
yeah.
whatever you want.
And honestly, you could just replace their heads, and they'd probably look better with a different head swap. Actually,
Yeah, in
uh,
fact, I wonder if you just had some extra like Cadian heads, excuse me, kicking around, if that would fit in there well enough.
yeah, you're gonna have to get used to Saint Cadian, aren't you?
I'm really struggling with that, yeah.
I've never
But
heard anyone say it the way you did. It just sounds so
yeah, I think it's
weird.
the greater Philadelphia area thing.
Uh,
We're renowned for being able to pronounce things correctly. So
I mean, this kit doesn't have a lot of bits to it. I don't know. I would say this is probably a B.
yeah,
B.
I'm even airing on C. This is an early
Yeah.
kit. It could really do with a refresh, like the Le Gras. I would say Grognards, but my wife speaks French. I think she would say Grenier.
Is it Grenier?
So I don't speak French. My French is worse than my German. So I'm sure someone in the comments can let us know if it's Grognards or Grenier or something in between.
I know French Canadian, but that's different. So,
Mm,
all right. Next up is the Oorah set. The
yeah,
classic Colonial Marines.
yeah, for sure.
And this is one of the first sets I think I learned about. Because I was at the time I was looking for some like aliens kind of like figures, and this is how I found out about Wargames Atlantic was through this kit actually. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And I think this kit is pretty sick and a really good guard alternative, and really fits the vibe of like the aliens, colonial marines.
For sure, yeah. I mean, this looks like it was designed straight off of the concept art for the Aliens movie. So they look fantastic. The guns look really cool in this too, as some kind of like ballistic sci-fi weapon.
Yeah,
So they look good. I think they look really cool. I would also see maybe if they had some like shoulder armor of some kind that could be good for like Starship Troopers.
yeah,
If
that's
you
true.
or as you said, just alternate guard, like paint them up however you want.
Yeah. Um, I wish they made like a command set for this, or just a different,
Mm.
just more kits basically, because I love kit bashing and stuff. So just having another set that's related to this, this kit would be really cool. And again, we've got 24 figures. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also thinking. What I like about this set in particular, I've also heard other people say this is their first exposure to the Wargames Atlantic range, which speaks to I think its popularity. It just gives me like near future vibes as opposed to like distant future from a lot of sci-fi art
Yeah.
and design. So I could also see this for like Halo. I know
Oh,
there's
that's
a
true.
Halo game from I think Mantic puts it out. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of utility with this kind of design. I think they did a good job.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I would say this is A. I don't think it. Yeah, I don't think
Yeah,
it.
it's not quite S. It's a high A if we're
Yeah.
if we're tiering things within.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go through and be like,
Etiquette.
this is better, and
No,
that's we're gonna be here all day if we do that. Uh,
nope, exactly.
all right, the next one, Sneak Feet. This is a newer one, I think, right?
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Um, if you like squats, I guess, or what are the guard halflings called? They have a different name. Ratlings. That's
Ratlings. Yeah, Ratlings.
yeah. Um, this is
It's a good kit. Yeah, I just reviewed this one not too long ago. Yeah, it was like a month ago, I think. It's a cool kit. There was some quirks about it, like the submachine guns are kind of a bullpup semi Uzi design, which were neat conceptually, but some of them didn't fit quite right on the miniatures. And then you'll see maybe even just from scrolling through the pictures there. There's only, I think, one firing pose out of all those sniper rifles. There's like two that are carrying, one that's over the shoulders. So they're cool. They're really neat. You're gonna have a lot of ratlings, though. I mean, that's a silly thing to complain about when we talk about value. It's what, like $40 for 24 models, something like that. But they look great. I really like the design, and there's a frying pan in there too, which is like one
yeah.
of my favorite bits from Wargames Atlantic. I can't figure out how they made it, so it's neat.
Yeah, it looks cool. Personally, I'm not a big fan of how the guns look. Like
Yeah, they're huge.
yeah, they're a little bit massive and very blocky. Um, but the value is there. Honestly, if you're using them for rattlings, though, you might, like you said, probably too many. But still, like, how can you complain about that price? And like, you can
Right.
always like split this with another like guard friend or somebody. I'm sure. Like,
I think that's probably the best use case, yeah. But because it is just such a niche topic, right? Not anybody's going to make an entire army out of these guys. They're more just like a special unit.
yeah. I would say this is what
It's a
B.
B for me.
It's
Yeah.
it doesn't have a lot of bits to it. Also,
No, you're buying them to make sniper, right? Like there's not a whole lot else to do. There's again some submachine gun options in there, but
I
not as
mean,
strong as.
also if you do want to do a themed like halfling Imperial Guard army, you could use these and replace the arms. I'm sure. Also,
Mm-hmm.
um, but that's very niche, I would say.
It is. Yeah, I did one conversion where I cut the rifle way down to try to make just like a las gun. But as you said, it's so blocky and like big that even that looked quite large for just a standard rifle.
Next up is the Einherjar. Uh, you know, if German's not
Yeah,
good, Scandinavian's not going to be good either.
yeah. This is I think it's Einherjar,
uh,
something like that. Again, forgive me, my Swedish isn't is worse than my French. So.
um, yeah, I actually don't like these guys in terms of looks.
Mm.
Like they're going for like that whole space Viking thing. But I feel like it's just leaning too much into the Viking, and then the rest of like the armor just looks really off-putting with those Viking helmets or shields. It doesn't do it for me.
I
What are your
think I Yeah, I think I agree. I enjoyed the kit for what it is, which is alternate squats. And I think that like I guess if that's the lens you're viewing it through, then they did a good job.
yeah,
But it is it's a weird blending of like fantasy and sci-fi bits within it as a result. I did like their take on the weapon design in a lot of cases too, if I remember correctly, but just generally I'm just not a fan of the concept of squats, so I would have preferred like more enclosed helmet designs or something like that. I would have been interested to see their take on squats if Games Workshop squats did not exist or if they weren't trying to like make dupes of those.
for sure.
Um,
Yeah, I feel like just like the heads, if the heads were different, I feel like this kit would have been way better.
Yeah,
uh,
it looked like that was my takeaway too. That it looked like they took fantasy dwarf heads and like glued some lenses and stuff on rather than like designing from the ground up what would a space dwarf helmet look like, which frankly would have been like some kind of enclosed thing, right?
yeah.
So yeah, it gave more fantasy with sci-fi trappings vibes to me. But again, that's more just a criticism of Games Workshop squats.
I would say this is like a B or C.
I go to see. Yeah,
Yeah,
again, we're listen. People at home shouting at your TV screens right now, your computer monitors. Like, drop a line below. Like,
yeah.
we're doing the best we can.
And we've got a lot of kits to cover as well, right?
Yep, yep.
Um, Actually, you know what? I'm gonna the Cannon Fodder 1 and 2. We probably can review both of them together. One is male
Hmm.
and one is female. But
Yep.
both of them are essentially the same, if I remember correctly. I don't think there's.
There is, yeah, there's not. There is one quirk about these kits, and I can't overlook it. Is that the Cannon Fodder One comes with 30 miniatures, and the Cannon Fodder Two comes with 24. So I don't know if they're
Huh?
gonna like redo the Cannon Fodder One to reduce the miniature count. but that is just something to be aware of. That if you're picking up both boxes simultaneously, it's not a packing issue if you find that one of them is missing a sprue.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's just a weird note.
But
But I like them. They're good for.
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, I was just gonna say I really like these, and they fit that like penal colony, like the jail kind of like convict conscript kind of vibe very well. And I actually like their guns for how simple and flat they are. There's something about it that aesthetically is kind of pleasing. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. In fact, I wish they'd use these guns with the Braunjägers. I think it would have looked better on
Oh,
that
that's
set. This
true.
kind of flat, kind of stocky las gun inspired design. Yeah, the what's cool about the bodies here is that they are kind of like hazmat suits designed, like kind of like imagine like a jumpsuit. So you could paint it orange for Penal Legion. You could paint them white to make like an astronaut, or I think I did like Saudukar from Dune. I painted
Yeah.
them up that way. There's some hazmat helmets you can see there with like respirators built in. So a lot of different head options to use these in a lot of different ways. As you said, conscripts, Penal Legion, whatever you want.
Oh yeah. I see I actually didn't know about these respirator heads.
Yeah, and there's enough for everybody too, which is I love that when it comes to kit bashing.
All right, yeah, that's really cool. And I think it's the same thing with the female version of this kit as well. I assume there's no difference there in
Yeah,
terms of
they're bustier. I think that and a
yeah.
little more diminutive in size, but
Uh
otherwise they're very similar kits.
yeah, and I mean it's also just good to have more female representation in miniatures just in general,
For sure.
and just having a dedicated kit to that. And where like it's not overtly like I want to say like Malifaux or Infinity does this like a lot where they try to make the female models like really sexy looking and it just looks
Yeah.
ridiculous. Like no, these just look like soldiers. And that's
Yeah,
good.
I would like think Wargames Atlantic needs a lot of credit for that, along with like North Star does this too, where they make female variants of sets that are not, as you say, like hypersexualized. It's just like they're just women carrying weapons instead, and I think
Yeah.
that's great for the hobby.
Um where would you put these? Both in A?
I think they're both A's. Yeah, I know we're getting kind of top heavy here, but I think when we'll get to some other ranges that I think will help
Yeah.
balance it out.
There's plenty of stuff to go over still, so let's see. Cannon fodder. I have these alphabetically here, so. Oh, whoops. What else do we have? We've got the Bulldogs, which I assume are
Hmm.
basically the Mordian or the what's it called? Mordians or Praetorian Guard, I
Yes.
guess. Yeah, that's what they're called, Praetorians. Yeah, the Zulu-esque inspired guard essentially. Um I guess these could, depending how you painted them as well, you could do like a World War I vibe as well. Like the
Yeah.
colors they're showing are like reds and blues and stuff, like the British Zulu uniforms, but you could paint them any way you want, and you'd get a very different
Sure.
aesthetic that way. Um, I think they look good. I think they look cool. I like the weapons again. They're really cool. Very World War I, World War II inspired, I would say.
I agree. Yeah, actually, what it makes me want to see is some other factions from the Imperial Guard that I care about, like Talern or
Valhalla.
Valhallans. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I'd love to see their take on it because this is, I'll call this one a solid B. I think it's a good kit. It's not quite as versatile as some of the other ones, but it is like it's what's on advertised on the front of the box is what you're going to get inside, which are some solid models at a great price point
Yeah,
that could
exactly.
be either Praetorians or Mordians or with some head swaps, like you said, something entirely differently, like for Trench Crusade
Oh
or
yeah,
something like that.
these would be good for Trench Crusade as well. Um, yeah, I'm okay with B. What are they called again? Bulldogs. That's the one thing I'll
Bulldogs.
never. Yeah, I always think of the guard names before these names, so
Yeah,
I'm just never gonna remember them. And I think it's just the Harvesters left in Death Field, as far as I can
I
tell.
can confirm. Yeah, that's what I've got left on my list.
And these are like very Starship Trooper to me.
Yes.
um, and yeah, they look good for just bugs and like aliens. Like if you need a sci-fi monster, this is a really good kit for that. Um, as long as you like that aesthetic, but you get 30 of them, which is so good, and you get a whole different like you get a lot of different sizes and stuff and creatures. Like this is just a useful kit to have around, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I actually have a sprue of it downstairs ready for a review, so I haven't dealt with it personally yet. I will say I don't like the spike design on the back legs as like it works, but it almost it's like they needed another pair of legs or something to make it a little more like I feel like that's going to sink into the ground. Is kind of what it looks like with some of the miniatures, the way that they're moving about.
I see what
But
you're
again,
talking about.
I can suspend disbelief on that. Yeah, the only thing I'm not sure of is if they are as fiddly to build as the giant spiders were for the fantasy range, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
I imagine they're not because they're not as many legs to glue on. But yeah, it's hard to shake a fist at the value, as you said. 30 bugs for what 39.95.
Yeah, it's pretty
That's
good.
pretty great
Um, I would say these are not good Tyranid alternatives, though.
for the base size, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's true. But yeah, I wouldn't use these for like Tyranids or something, though. If that's what you're going for, I'm sure you could, but it might look a little weird. I think the size would look very off. But I would say this is like a B.
Yeah,
Uh, Not a whole lot of extra bits that you get with it, but a very useful kit still. All right, and that's it from Deaf Fields. And then specifically, we have the Baron's War
yeah.
to go over. Any starter set or bundles I didn't put because they just contain all the minis. Usually, for I think, unless I'm crazy, I don't think there's anything unique to most of these like starter sets or bundles that they have.
Yeah, the only exception is that I don't think it's released yet. There's an army set for Baron's War that's going to come with the mounted command, which is not yet out. So I don't
Yeah,
know if that's going to drop before their mounted commands. Like anyway, we don't have it.
yeah,
We're not going to review it. Neither of them are out yet. So
yeah. Fair enough. All right, there's the Foot Knights, and the Foot Knights look pretty damn good. I liked your review video on them actually a lot.
yeah, thank you. It's one of the first reviews I did actually. It was the second one.
Yeah. And yeah, like this is pretty sick. The only thing I think they have a problem with is that it's hard to argue against the Vitrix version of this kit, basically. um,
Yeah, that's other than the peasant levy. I think that's going to be the case for, I guess, the mounted sergeants too. The Victrix one isn't out yet.
yeah,
Yeah, they have a Victrix problem, which is, in my opinion, the Victrix variants are
better.
better. Now they do have the advantage of the thing that we just talked about that we're not going to review is the. I think an army bundle is always great for ranges like this. So they have that going for them and their Baron's War affiliation, but. Yeah, other than there's a couple of poses I think that look really cool with like the shield strap going over the shoulder on the foot knights
Yeah,
that I think look neat. They're quite innovative that way. But generally, yeah, I prefer the Victrix alternatives in all of these cases.
yeah. Still a good set though, and you could kit bash both if you wanted to, but I think you're gonna get a little redundant doing that. Um, yeah, but
And I do, for what it's worth, I do. Like all of my Foot Knights units are mixes of Victrix and Wargames Atlantic. 'Cause I enjoy doing that.
yeah, oh,
But
yeah. Where would you put this? Like, is this a
this is
B
tough. It's a
or
B, I think. Yeah, it's a B.
s-
If the Victrix set did not exist, it would be an A for
y-
me. But
agreed?
it's a B
Yeah,
by virtue of comparison to alternatives on the market.
yep. And then I've got foot sergeants next here, and there's a couple of other like I guess medieval sets out nowadays. There wasn't like back in the time when Fireforge first existed, it was just them. But
Yeah, it was it. And then
yeah,
yeah, all of a sudden we've got so many options.
yeah.
A glut of options.
This is a lot better than Fireforge.
Yes. Yes, it is.
So that's going for it. The crossbows look pretty nice. Because I'm thinking of other like miniatures that make crossbows, and some of them are really bad, or I just don't like how they're designed, where they're way too
Mm.
large for like hand, like on foot crossbows that aren't used in sieges and stuff. Yeah, the set seems pretty cool. Um, is there a Victrix alternative to the set that I'm thinking of, or am I
There's
crazy?
two Victrix
Oh
alternatives.
boy,
So
okay.
Victrix has their own foot sergeants, which are excellent and come with a higher ratio of pole arms. And Victrix also has a separate set of medieval crossbowmen and archers. So it's
Same
kind
deal.
of tapping into both the peasant levy and the this one here. And I think unfortunately, like the nature of doing sets like this, where you have combat bodies with your where you're putting crossbows on.
Hmm.
They look good, but it's not as good as having a separate dedicated set like Victrix has for, say, like crossbowmen that look like they're firing a crossbow, because that's just the way that the model is sculpted. So again, it's a B set. It would be an A set for me if Victrix didn't exist, but that's
Yeah.
the reality that we're in.
Also interesting, it's $38.95. It's $1 less than some of the other kits randomly.
There are some weird price points. I don't know if you want
I
to talk about that at
y-
all, but there's a couple here that stood out to me, especially when we get into some of the later ranges where pretty much everything here is 38.95. The mounted knights and the mounted sergeants are $5 more, or excuse me, $7 more, 44.95. Which is only interesting because that was previously price points that were reserved for their stuff they're producing on behalf of other companies, like their SpaceNam as Reptilian Overlords
yep.
sets, or their Quar stuff. It was always like this $5 that was baked in, I assume, for royalty payment or something like that. So they're starting to dabble with some like split pricing within ranges, which is just something that I am interested in as a business student, just to keep an eye on. So
Uh
anyway, I
yeah.
don't know if that's interesting to anyone else, but
Yeah,
it is
that
interesting
it
to
is
me.
interesting to me. Peasant levy. Also another, basically, I think it's the same problem like you just said, where you're comparing stuff to Victrix. I do like all the weapon options you get in this. I will say that this is a lot of different weapons.
Yeah,
Uh,
and actually, this is one place where Victrix does not yet have an alternative on the market. That there is no Victrix medieval peasants
yeah.
or pilgrims or anything like that. So, yeah, this is a solid A kit for me. There's lots of cool options within it. There's some quirks, like some of the sleeves that they include a separate pole arm sprue that's intended to go with the foot sergeants as well.
Hmm.
So some of those have gambeson sleeves and chainmail sleeves, which don't work with any of the peasant bodies. So they included, I think it was like an extra sprue beyond what you would expect, I think, to compensate for that.
Right.
But otherwise, it's a very versatile little set. I enjoyed this one immensely.
Yeah, it's really good, and like the Fireforge one is just gonna be worse. Like Fireforge is almost always gonna be worse, sadly, just because they're dated miniatures.
Yeah, they're much older. Yeah, you got
Yeah.
to give them credit. As you said, they were the first company, one of the first companies to put out multi-part plastics generally,
Yeah.
along with like Gripping Beast and Warlord. But yeah, definitely the first one to put out medieval plastics. So credit to them. One other note on this set, though, that surprised me is that when I reviewed it, right when this set came out, what, a year and a half ago, it came with 30 miniatures in the box. I think it comes with 24 now, kind of a similar to the cannon fodder
Yep, you're
situation
right.
where
Yeah.
yeah, so when they repackaged it with that black and white Baron's War box, because that's even different from the one I have,
Yeah.
I think they dropped the model count from 30 to 24.
Yeah. But yeah, it's always useful to have peasants, and these are some of the nicer looking peasants on the market to get.
Yes, they are.
And I appreciate any peasant flail there because I'm a huge fan of this weapon.
And yeah, actually, a special note here too that this set is really, really good for kit bashing with their villagers and their guards set
Yeah.
and their fantasy range, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So yeah, it's a great set. It's an A for me.
Yeah. All right, peasant levy going to A. All right, and then next up, we did foot sergeants. We've got mounted sergeants and mounted foot knights. They do have the foot knight command here. I don't know if you want to review that one yet, though.
I don't know. Should we? This is kind of a controversial one, so maybe we should.
Yeah, all right, I'll
'Cause-
save that one in the Barons War last. Um,
yeah.
we get 12 knights, by the way, instead of like the 9 grognards for 44.95. I should mention that
Hmm.
right here.
Yep.
Um, and this set is really good. I really like this one. Um, but again, there's a Victrix cavalry set, right? I'm not crazy. Or
And the Victrix Cavalry is like one of the best sets they've ever put out. Like it's
yeah,
exceptionally good. So this is like you got, yeah, this is a real heavyweight that you're up against. But this is good. The one advantage to this set is it comes with some like fantasy heads included, whereas Victrix you have to buy
yeah,
those
it's
separately, like
separately.
a separate upgrade kit. And it has some. I think there's like jousting lances in there
Yeah, they
too.
do.
If I remember correctly.
Yep.
So there's cool things about it. I will say I don't like the horses as much. They have really big tails, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I'm looking at these
Uh,
pictures here, and they look pretty. These are massive horses,
they're
also.
big, yeah. Yeah, they're
Uh,
big.
but I think that's always been a miniature just thing in tabletop gaming of just having massive horses. is
Yeah.
pretty common. I
Yeah,
think,
it's true. And again, if you're a fantasy gamer, that's going to be something that you just kind of are in for anyway, right? And I've had people say that like they think Victrix horses are too small or Perry horses are too
yeah,
small, when in fact those are probably like the most accurate horses on the market. But
yeah,
they don't look right because if you're a fantasy player, you're used to these gigantic Clydesdales on your Empire Pistoliers.
yeah, for sure. Um, I guess it gives you more room to paint also heraldry and stuff if you're into that
Hmm.
as well. But
It does.
this is like a B, I think, just because
Yeah, I think it's a
Victrix.
B. Yeah, it's a B.
It's a sad case of just being Victrix being too good. Like I
Yeah.
even when I was thinking about this video, I was like, "Oh, we could do a Victrix video." And I was like, I actually don't think that would be that fun because I think a lot
It's
of
a bunch of S's and A's.
yeah,
Yeah.
like there's not a lot that I would be like, "No, this is bad." Like I think their line is just too good.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I know
again,
people are gonna think that we're on Victrix's payroll because they're just that good.
yeah, again, we got the mounted sergeants, and I think it's gonna be the same deal, basically. It's got some cool bits though, for sure. I really like the falchions sheathed. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
got much to say about it.
it was fine. I remember wanting ranged options. Like you can kit bash with the foot sergeants or with the peasant levy to get some bows, but that was one thing I really wanted in this kit standard were some bow options or some mounted crossbow options. Just because that like scurrier type cavalry I think is something that everybody would be in for.
Yeah,
But otherwise, I like the overall look. And again, this is one set where there is not yet a Victrix
Yeah,
alternative. Of
there.
course, we know that it's coming probably within the next few months.
Yeah, I'm just
So
expecting it.
yeah, and it's going to be great. So
B again.
probably a B. I will say I maybe I'm just I have too high of expectations that like for mounted light cavalry, I think that like some bow or crossbow options
Yeah,
really should have been included.
at least bows because the
Bows for sure.
yeah, and Perry miniature makes like a light. I know it's later period medieval, but they do have like a light cavalry with like crossbows and stuff, and like lighter spears as well.
Yeah, and in fact, the later that's an interesting point. That I think this one goes up to 1320 or 1350 or something
Yeah,
like that. Is the later end of the range they're suggesting, and the Perry one is it's like 1450 is what most of their War of the
yeah,
Roses stuff is for. But that's one kit where I think the beginning range is like 1350, so there's overlap there
yeah,
because of that. That when you've got these kind of generically armed medieval light cavalrymen, there's a wider range that they could be used for.
yeah. It's true. When you have less armor, it's just that's just the abundant case of it. It could work for a lot of medieval period. Um, yeah, B. It's still going in B, I guess.
Sure.
Mounted sergeants. And yeah, they're just better versions of like the Fireforge ones. I guess that's another point I guess I could bring up though is that Wargames Atlantic is a little bit more available than Victrix around the world. I would argue that's the other thing you might
Yes.
have to keep in mind as well. Not
Yes, that's
everywhere.
absolutely true.
Victrix, I would say is a little bit more popular nowadays, but like distribution, I don't think is just there as Wargames Atlantic really popped off, and it's a lot easier to get around the world.
I agree. I heard, especially down in Australia, that's absolutely true. That the Victrix miniatures that are there, there's like even an additional, the Australia tax that
Yeah, of
normally
course.
exists, but there's a Victrix premium for Victrix miniatures down in Australia and New Zealand as well. So that's what I've heard. Is generally not only are Board Games Atlantic miniatures more accessible, but per model they're noticeably cheaper.
All right, and then the controversial one. There was a
Oh
lot of,
boy,
yeah, this was a lot of talk in your Discord about this one actually. And this is how many miniatures is this? Is this four or
it's for
yeah, four for 24.95.
I will just say what, as you said in my Discord, there was a lot of anger about this set, and I think what it is, somebody articulated this really well, which is that up until this set, War Games Atlantic wasn't like they're cheaper than Games Workshop, but it wasn't just that they were slightly cheaper than Games Workshop, right? It wasn't that they were just undercutting Games Workshop. It was that they were a really good deal,
Yeah,
separate from Games Workshop, right? this is the first set where it feels like this is a kind of a swing at being just slightly cheaper than Games Workshop. Because yeah, it's $6 a miniature. I think it's for $24
Yeah.
US for 4 miniatures is a lot. For really, I think it's fair to say these are miniatures that just look like Foot Knights, just with some different bits.
Yeah.
This could have been a frame in the Foot Knights box, just as a command sprue, like Victrix does, like Perry does, like Warlord sometimes does. It could have just been a command frame, but it's being sold as a command box at a substantial premium.
Yeah, I think this. They would have had a better time making an upgrade kit instead for like a command. Exclude
Yep.
like take out the bodies and the torsos, give a bunch of head, give a bunch of different arms, and I don't know. That I think that would have probably been a lot less controversial that way. Like there's a lot of cool
Or
like
or include like 3 frames of it. Like I don't know
yeah, that's true.
why 4 miniatures, because like it costs nothing, right? Like the
Yeah.
development cost is where it's at, but like to print some extra sprues is nothing, and people could absolutely use 12 command miniatures right
Yeah,
across
for
their
sure.
armies or the bits from them, and then yeah, you're back into basically the same per model price for these command figures versus the Foot Knights. Or you could have done like I saw some other people suggesting do like one command and a couple of regular Foot Knight sprues,
Yeah.
right, to make this kind of a you get the regular box of Foot Knights if you just want Foot Knights, but if you want maybe a slightly higher per model price with a little bit of Foot Knights and a command, you would get this box instead. So there's a few ways you could have done this versus with this to me feels like a test just to see how it
Yeah.
does at this higher per model price, which is for me this is a D because there's one word you had mentioned with our tier list that D is frustrating for. I think specifically with like assembly and stuff like that, but this is frustrating for different reasons.
Yeah, if it's just frustrating for any reason, really, then yeah, we'll
Yeah.
put it in there. I really don't like the trope of this like bishop like helmet thing because like,
Right. Is there any
well,
contemporary
that's what I was gonna
basis for
say.
that?
I think this comes from like basically pop culture and memes of more recent thing.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not even a big fan of this like crowned helmet either. Actually,
It's
it's
pretty big.
yeah. Obviously, like they're miniatures, so who cares kind of deal. But like, I still want some historical, you know, versions of stuff as well.
I agree. And some more dynamic poses would have been good. This is
That's
something we all
true.
like made fun of Games Workshop for with all their tactical rocks. But like I think this is like if you're selling something as a command
It should,
box with a premium price point, yeah, I want some crazy dynamic heroic poses on these guys.
yeah. Nah, that's a good point. I also just don't. Yeah, it's not something Wargames Atlantic should have done as a footnight command, like just any command set that's separate like this. Because like, yeah, they just never do very good. I would say dynamic posing for the most part.
Yeah.
So yeah, D sounds right for me. I don't. Did I put this? I swear I did put this in this tier list, but maybe I didn't.
Yeah, it's fine.
um,
Let the people know.
yeah, the people will know it's D. But yeah, all right. Well, that's it for the Barons War. Uh, and then we have the sci-fi ranges, which are a bunch of different ones. We're gonna go over Quar, and we're gonna go over it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
We were just talking about this before recording that all of these almost look exactly the same. I don't like they have slight variations between the sets. And they're very specific to a kind of style um that you either dislike or like, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know who owns the IP. It might say it on the box there, whoever they're producing this on behalf of.
Does
But it's not for me. I do think this is kind of like turnip adjacent in terms of the
yeah.
styling, what's going on here. But yeah, my only criticism is that as an outsider, like imagine me like someone trying to appeal to me to pick up this game. I don't really see much variation between the 3 factions. I think it's Fidwog's,
Coffee
Coughtrin,
Trend and
and
Crusade.
Crusaders.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really see what the difference is between them. So yeah, even if I could get behind the kind of silly, I don't want to say Wallace and Gromit kind of styling to the goofy characters there. Yeah, it's more just that I don't see enough variation here.
Yeah. I agree. Like because like even people will paint like their clothing differently amongst the units I've seen, and I'm like, that's just
Yeah,
gonna make it even harder for me to tell what I'm
sure,
looking at. Uh,
sure.
okay. One specific thing I do really like though are their tanks or
Is
their
it the tanks? Yeah,
yeah,
100%.
like these tractors are just so cool. Um,
Yeah, I could see these being repurposed. We had talked about for the Grenier, the alternate Voidstroyans. You could use something like this
yep.
for your death fields.
Um,
Just take out the dude up top.
yep, that's for sure. That being said though, 44.95 is it seems a bit steep for its size. Like it's hard
Oh
to
boy, is it one tank? I thought it was two.
no, I
Hmm.
think it's just one tank, one multi-part
Interesting.
tractor.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's the big downside to this thing. They look really cool. I think they make good alternatives for a lot of things, just like alt war, just vehicles, trench crusade, turnip. Um, but for its price, um, and it might be a thing with just like maybe Quar stuff is more expensive because maybe it's a different publisher. I'm
Yes, again, like through your SpaceNam stuff, we're gonna get into like the sorcerer's spoils at the end too. Piano Wargaming is another one where they're producing something on behalf of another company that maybe doesn't have the means to, do the plastic injection molding. So there's a number of companies they've partnered with to do this, and I think this is one of them where
yeah,
somebody else owns the IP and they're just producing it on their behalf. So those typically have like an extra $5 price point
yeah.
on the MSRP, as I said, I suspect just for royalties. But we're starting to see more scattershot pricing across their ranges.
Do we want to just put Quar in a specific spot? Like
I
maybe
would put. Is it fair to put all of the core kits in like C? Like they're C's for me, just
yeah,
because of how slimsy they are.
I kind of have to agree. Like, I kind of wanted to put the tanks actually higher, but I didn't realize their price was so high until now, actually.
Again, you're right. I thought it was two miniatures for each of them,
Yeah,
which would completely change the conversation. And as I said, it's just so strange because like that costs nothing from a manufacturing standpoint to put in a couple extra sprues. I suspect that has more to do with like if somebody only needs two for an army, I want you to buy two boxes instead of buying one and having what you need, which I get. But going back to the conversation with the command, where it's like Wargames Atlantic should be about like exceptional value
yeah,
for their miniatures, right? It's not about just basically barely undercutting whatever the competition is. It's about being the best, right? The best price point out there.
yeah. Ah, that's a shame.
Especially because I'm sorry to like harp on this, but like the Barons War range is a great example where like there are better alternatives from Victrix. So like the way you differentiate yourself is to be a way stronger price point per
Yep.
model.
Yeah, for
Right.
sure.
So anyway, I'll get off the price soapbox.
And I think that's it from Quar,
Yeah,
basically. I'm glad
yeah.
we got that out of the way just at the start. And then Empires of War. This is the newer line of
The
basically,
Martzer stuff, yeah.
yeah, this is like basically US Trench Crusade, in my opinion. Or
I
like
think they're calling it diesel punk, right, instead of
it's
steampunk.
diesel. Yeah, it is diesel punk. This is good for like Conflict 47 or Trench Crusade or any alt war, World War II, basically miniature as
Yeah.
well. Um, I really want this kit actually. It looks so
Yep.
cool. Um,
Yep.
and yeah, they did just a good design. I like everything about this set. And these would make good guardsmen as well if you're into that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
There would be, and actually, there's helmeted heads with masks on
yeah,
that, and even the rifles just out of the box like look sci-fi enough that I think they would work great as, yeah, I just out of the box Cadians. Just
yeah,
paint them up basically the same way, just kind of remove the U.S. iconography.
yeah,
And they're good enough as just Cadians, especially again with those masked helmets that don't look quite as World War II GI.
44.95. It's 20 miniatures now this time. Instead of like the 24. And this is made by with Golden Dragon Games, I believe.
Yeah, so I think the way that typically works is I keep going back to SpaceNam, where Reptilian Overlords in that case designed the miniatures. And here I think Golden Dragon designed the miniatures, and Wargames Atlantic is producing it for them. I
Yeah.
believe that's my understanding of how these agreements typically work.
Yeah, it seems like the case. At least the box says created by Golden Dragon, manufactured by Wargames Atlantic.
Right.
Uh yeah. I would put this in A.
Yeah, I'm almost thinking S. These
S.
are so good, but I don't have personal experience with them yet. But
Same.
everything I've seen is great, and I still think, yeah, $44 for 20 miniatures is a great price point. Kind of circling back to the price conversation, but on the other end,
Yeah.
I think that's perfectly fine for, sci-fi or alternate, diesel punk, if that's what you're calling it,
Well,
miniatures.
if we don't get any S's, we'll put this in
Sure, can
S.
bump it.
Yeah, we'll
Sure.
bump it. And then they have the veteran and command sets. We're seeing another separate command set, but this also comes with a lot more miniatures.
It doesn't though.
It doesn't
Well, that's
really.
more than the command. It's 12. I
It's
thought it was
12.
24.
I thought it was 20.
Yeah.
That's a. Oh, for that price, never mind.
Yeah, I thought it was
Oh
20 as
man.
well because I thought what they were doing is putting in like two sprues of command and two sprues of veterans, which is another great way to bundle things, right? Like
Yeah.
that was good. It's just it's not enough miniatures. So yeah, if you're not gonna do like heavy support weapons like they did with their Le Grenier, yeah, I think you really have to stick to around the same per model price for infantry,
Yep.
right? So yeah, this is more of a probably a C for me. I also don't like the design. I don't know why they have
I
M16s
was about to
for the
say these
veterans.
M16s are really throwing me off. Actually,
Yeah,
you have M1 Gurans and Thompsons in the other kit, and then you have this feels like it wants to be more Vietnam like instead, randomly.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, agreed. Which, by the way, side note, I do hope they get into Cold War, like
yeah,
Vietnam. Even like just Soviet Russians from that era.
I
Like,
was
I
gonna
think that
say,
would sell like hotcakes. So,
yeah, Rubicon Miniatures is like the only company I know that makes
hmm,
plastic Vietnam like
yep,
figures. But it'd also be nice to see some like just Soviet stuff in general would be really nice to see. And West German also or British,
yep.
like everything Cold War. And I think there is a decent appetite for that. Um, yeah. Uh, yeah, this has got to be a C. I'm really disappointed.
Yeah,
'Cause this whole time thinking this, I thought it had 20 miniatures in it. That's so
no,
bad. And they have
no.
the cool like great coats and stuff, because people like that. I mean, I like them, but and
Yeah,
yeah,
what I don't want to see them continue doing is this Games Workshop trend of pricing things based on its battlefield role. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like you're paying $20, or paying a certain price point for 20 miniatures if it's core infantry, or same price point for half as many miniatures if it's special infantry. Like that's nonsense. Games Workshop does that, and they only get away with it because their IP is so well established, and because so many people kind of, I think these days, in some cases, begrudgingly play the game system because their friends play it. So there's only so much of that you can tap into.
yeah.
So
We could have a whole discussion about that. I'm
I
sure.
think so. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm sure we could. Maybe
Uh,
next video.
yeah, for sure. Um, the hard suits. These are like, honestly, I feel like these were definitely inspired by the Trench Crusade like mechanized infantry. I felt like
I think so too.
the timing of these coming out and like Trench Crusade coming out is very specific. Um, I think these look okay. I really don't like the axe ones actually in specific.
Sure, the fireman's axe. I generally am not a fan too of mechs that are holding things. Like it would
Yeah,
make way more
just
sense for the weapon to be integrated into the arm in some way,
yeah,
instead of making them like big mechanized people. But again, it's a style, as you
it's a
said. I think
trope.
it is going kind of after the Trench Crusade market here, which I can't blame them for. But yeah, that bottom design there, where he's just like holding a machine gun in his hand, like there's a little guy inside and
Yeah,
holding a machine gun.
I,
Like it makes more sense for it to be like a gun in each arm, right? Something like that. So
I really hate that on like any walkers or mechs is seeing the little person inside. It's like, why are they not protected?
sure, not quite as bad as the. Remember the
The
speaking of
baby
Games Workshop.
carriage,
Yeah, the for
the
the
Grey
Grey
Knight.
Knights, the one where the
God,
Space Marine's just like out in front, like in a baby carrier. So yeah, this is probably a C for me. It is better value. I thought this was two, so it's
yeah, it's
funny that
4.
yeah, this is two of these. There's four of these things instead of two of these things. So
Yeah, I still don't know how good that is price wise, to be honest, just because I don't know the size of these things
you're
really.
right. That's a good point because if that's like a 32 millimeter base that they're on, that they're basically Space Marine sized at that point. So
Yeah,
that's a great observation.
they're on 40 millimeter bases.
All right.
Ah,
So what? Terminators? Is that what a Terminator comes on though?
yeah, I think Terminators might be 50 now, but
Oh yeah, sure.
still, I think it belongs in C anyways.
Yeah,
Uh,
see it.
not my favorite design anyways. All right. That's it for the marchers. I actually thought I would have a better outlook, but these two kits are just not as good as I first thought, and I think I hyped myself up into thinking they were better than they actually were.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how the range expands because it seems to be very popular with Conflict 47 and other things going on right now that everybody's kind of getting into this diesel punk aesthetic. So,
Yep.
just as I said, curious to see their take on Germans, Russians, Brits, all that. So,
Then we've got we talked a bunch about this, so yeah, we got the
yeah, I
space.
keep bringing it up.
Yeah, I might as well cover this one, the SpaceNam, which is basically catechins. Even this artwork work just looks so catechin like, basically.
Yeah.
Um, I kind of wish there were helmeted heads here. I know that doesn't fit the vibe as much, but I don't know. These look like really good alternatives to catechins.
They are. They're, it's a really good set, and credit needs to be given to Reptilian Overlords for designing. If you don't like the catechin design, totally get it. I understand it's goofy and over the top, but just from a pure detail sculpting standpoint, the way these figures went together, I reviewed the set. Uh, these were like some of the best miniatures to put together that I've dealt with, and they did a great job. And apparently they do a lot of 3D sculpting, so they actually do have alternate Talern that apparently look fantastic.
Oh,
And so
that's
there's
cool.
some rumors that they might be making Talern into plastic by way of Wargames Atlantic, and I hope they do
Yeah.
because this set was a real delight to put together, and I've been using it for all kinds of conversions. So this is an A for me. Might even be S, but I know that's asking for a lot with the kind of ridiculous '80s tropey catechin designs because it's just so good.
Yeah, if you're a big fan of Predator and stuff, you're gonna love these. And if you
Yep.
like the is it Catachan or Catachan?
I don't, man, I was calling it Cadian for my entire life. I have no idea how things are pronounced.
Yeah, no, these are really sick. And how many miniatures is it? Is this it's 20 for
Uh,
40? Yeah, it's still a good price.
It's 20. Yeah, it's 20.
Yeah, these are really cool. I'll give them an A. Like just because
Yeah.
I they don't have helmets doesn't mean they don't like that's just something
Sure,
I would like.
that's again, that's the Games Workshop problem, right? Like the same thing with the Einherjar, where Space Squads didn't have enclosed helmets, so therefore these ones don't either. It's like, well, yeah, I would have loved to have seen your interpretation of this. Right, same thing here. Like everybody didn't have to be like roided out and muscular. I would have loved to see your interpretation of these guys if it wasn't based on a Games Workshop design. But anyway, that's
Yeah.
a whole separate conversation, I guess.
And to be fair, if you wanted helmets or like less jacked guys, go with the Ura set like instead
Yeah.
basically.
I also did some conversions with these using these bodies with arms from I think it was the Stargrave Mercenaries, like
Mhm.
just putting regular arms on it, and it worked really well, like shockingly well, and just made for some really cool looking kind of futuristic mercenary types.
Yeah. Well, next up is the what was the set called the company called that made these originally?
Oh, the Iron Core range.
Yeah, they had a different
Um,
name, I remember. Dreamforge or something? I
yeah, it
forget.
was Dreamforge. That was it.
Okay. Yeah, so these are not originally Wargames Atlantic. Uh well, they're sculpts, right? It's just a different take on them? Or is
I
it
don't know what I don't know what the relationship is here. If anybody knows, let us know. But yeah, Dreamforge was the company that made them originally.
yeah.
So I don't know if it's like a Warlord situation where they bought the rights, or if they're still producing these on behalf of Dreamforge, who is just kind of like quietly behind the scenes, as opposed to Reptilian Overlords, which is on the box.
Yeah.
I don't know. But you're right. This used to be put out by somebody else, and now War Games Atlantic produces.
Oh, and they show here in this picture the
Oh yeah, right there,
Dreamforge.
Dreamforge War Games Factory.
Um
Wonder if Dreamforge, because it says slash Wargames Factory. I wonder if Dreamforge was an offshoot of Wargames Factory, and we know Wargames Factory. Well, Wargames Atlantic was started by the same people
yeah,
that
it's
started
just
Wargames Factory. So
oh, that makes a lot of sense then. They used to have like
interesting.
giant walkers too, if I remember. People used them for like
Yeah.
Titans and Knights for 40k, I remember.
hmm
Um in terms of miniatures, I really don't like them. Their helmets,
Yeah, I'm not a fan. It's kind of like an '80s interpretation of what the future would be like.
yeah, very like German and Stormtrooper and
Yeah,
what's it?
it's been done.
Yeah, it's been done too much, and I feel like there's better miniatures out there for that kind of thing. Um, those heads just look ridiculous on these bodies. Like they look way too big.
I have seen conversions with different heads that look pretty cool, where
I
you're
could
just
believe it.
basically taking the core body and then putting on a different head to make just kind of a sci-fi shock trooper kind of thing. But yeah,
Yeah.
the heads is too on the nose, I think, in terms of like wink wink, not Imperial stormtroopers.
Yeah.
So
Their guns aren't that interesting to me. Uh, the bits aren't interesting to me. I don't know. I'd give this like a C.
yeah, also I think they have those Lego hands, don't they? Where the
Yeah.
guns are detached from the hands, which
Yeah. They.
I am not a fan of.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a C.
Yeah. Oh, so do you have to cut out the trigger? Oh no. Okay. I thought it was like the old Orc Boy kit where do you remember you had to like cut out like the trigger and like
Sure, the Space Marines were the same way with
oh
the
that's
original
true.
tactical squad box. You had to
Yeah.
cut off the handle of the gun in order to get them to fit.
Yeah. This is one where I would be kind of considering it a D almost actually.
Sure, I'd be fine with that. And then because they've had, but this whole range actually is kind of
More or
similar to
less
me. Maybe we can talk about the Valkyrs separately because there's the Panzerjäger and then the Stormtroopers,
they're
and
they're almost the
really the
same.
only difference is it's almost the same miniatures just with different heads, right? Like I can't
Different
really tell what the
weapons.
difference is.
Yeah.
Sure, maybe the guns are slightly different too, but
Eh. Yeah, it's gonna be the same case here. And then there's the heavy troopers, which I think look better. Um,
yeah,
but
I would call these C's if the other ones were
yeah,
D's. But these ones, it should be noted, or I think it's only 12 miniatures in this box, and they're not
that's
as big
true.
as you would think.
I would like to see a size comparison to a like a Primaris, I guess now, just
Yeah,
to see. They don't look. Yeah, you're right. They are. Like they're not that big. Yeah, I guess that's a C, and the other ones are D. Did I?
yeah,
Here we go.
yeah.
Eisenkern.
DDC.
And where's the last set? They're called like the Panzer Corps or something like that. Panzerjäger.
Yeah, the Panzerjäger. Yeah,
Yeah. All right. That's it from that line. Then we have let's do the single trench crusade adjacent set. And this one was designed by I think mini wargamer Dave, I think.
no, no kidding. Yeah,
Yeah, I think he wanted to make like a Mormon inspired like trench crusade set. Which is
that's
interesting.
fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll say here a little We Wargame trivia that I am a former Mormon. I was Mormon for 10 years, so when I saw this, I had a good chuckle.
Oh, okay.
So
I didn't know that, huh?
yeah, there you go. Not many people do. Now everyone does.
Well, anybody that watches this video on my channel. um I mean, this is kind of cool, I guess. It's a very different take, I would say, on Trench Crusade also. Um, which I kind of appreciate. Like they're very
Yeah.
different looking. Um,
Yeah, I like them. It's not clear to me how versatile the set is because it seems like a lot of it is designed to go together in a certain way, almost like it is a pre-sculpted model that's blown apart, more akin to like Games Workshop design theory, or maybe you
yeah.
have like a couple of different guns that can kind of slot in.
Yeah, I think the weapon choices you can separate, which is at least nice. Like the it looks like
That is good.
actually it doesn't look that bad to be honest. Just looking at
No,
these
the only
sprues.
criticism is that it's 11 models for
Yeah, for
$45.
40. Yeah. Um I don't know. This is like a I still think it's kind of neat, and I guess this is kind of like all you would quote unquote need for Trench Crusade. Well, it's actually 11 models, which is actually kind of weird. Why not just have 12?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's because like the core frame is 10, then you have that extra like robot guy kind of
Yeah.
bigger and maybe do four
Oh, I
11s.
guess.
So it's a strange one, but it's I would say this would be an A if it were either priced accordingly. Like
Yep.
again, this is where like you can introduce these like $25 price points
Yep.
for smaller kits like this. As you said, you don't need as many. I get it. You don't have to like cram 30 models in a box if you don't need them. Um, so this would be like an A kit for me, but I think the price holds it back. That you're pricing it at $45 for 11 miniatures. Now again, I know price and value is a very subjective thing. I talk about that all the time, where it's
Yeah.
based on budget. It's based, as you say, on how many miniatures you need. But I'm comparing Wargames Atlantic price points to Wargames Atlantic price points. That's what I'm going on. And so this
Uh,
one is of less value per model than a lot of their other
do you
sets.
want to say C or B then?
I like again, I would knock it down one tier based on price. That's kind of what I'm doing in my mind.
Okay.
So Yeah, I think this is. I really like the individual designs. I think, as you said, it's a refreshing take on Trench Crusade. It's not just like. I can't remember who said it. It was on a different mini channel where they said it. The general Trench Crusade vibe is like Hellraiser for cowards, where it's like all this like it's like horror, but like not going in as hard. So I don't know. It's almost like a kid is design the most horrific monster you could think of sometimes.
Oh
So
yeah.
anyway,
Yeah, I mean, that's another video I could just talk about is because I really like Trench Crusade still, but man,
yeah.
has it I feel like its popularity has made it worse for me. I know that
Yeah,
sounds kind of like a hipster thing to say,
no,
but
no, I think that's absolutely fair. That a lot of the monster design is airing on like creepy pasta for me, where it's like this is not where we started. So,
yeah, it looks less scary and just looks stupid.
mhm.
All right. Well, we have their Pulp Adventure range, which is I don't know why they put this under sci-fi, but I guess because they're zombies, sure. Uh,
Yeah,
I kind of get it. But we have the civilians and survivors, men and women. They are fairly different kits this time around, though.
yes,
Uh,
they are. Yeah, but I
24,
think I can talk generally about the two of them. I've
yeah,
reviewed the civilians one. I haven't done the civilians two, and they're good kits. There's like weird quirks about it. Like it has a really high ratio of cricket bats in this. So there's the main core frame, which has a crazy number of heads. Like it's like 50 heads to six bodies
jeez,
or something
yeah,
like that. So
yeah,
you can see. I mean, you can make a whole lot of individual characters. So great for role playing games. Great to make just civilians running around. There's lots of options to make non-combatants,
yeah,
which is cool. And then there's a supplemental weapon frame, which has a bunch of gun options. It looks like you're showing it there, yeah.
yeah.
Which has like it has like 3 or 4 cricket bats,
Why,
which is.
why are there so many cricket bats? Jeez,
I mean, even the Brits are like, this is too many cricket bats. So yeah, I don't
that's
know why
really
there's so many
funny.
cricket bats, and it is missing some obvious stuff like some knives, like a machete would have been cool, like an axe, things like that, like improvised weapons beyond
Yeah,
just the cricket bats. So uh, yeah, it's a cool kit though. I like it. I like this take where it is sort of like a toolkit for you to make whatever you want. We're not really prescribing what this is for. It
yeah,
kind of reminds me of the Lego like city sets.
yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
kind of what the whole pulp range kind of gives me the feeling of, where like we're putting out this kind of core concept. We're gonna give you a ton of accessory options, and you can make this as whatever you want, and I like that.
Yeah, I was just personally like you mentioned RPGs, and I'm like, I'm a big Call of Cthulhu fan. Like, this is a great
Yeah.
set for that kind of thing. But also, like,
Yep.
if you want to make bank robbers, if you play like Spectre miniatures and stuff, and you don't like models from them, like these are good. The one thing I will say about the pulp range that I don't like, but I think this is the case just because they're plastic, the guns look a little thick, um, in my
Yeah, there's
opinion.
some heroic scaling going on there, which I guess is good for. I generally like heroic scaled
Yeah,
weapons
it's
in
just
tabletop gaming, but I agree. It's what it is more is inconsistent
yeah.
with the thickness of weapons across different ranges.
But yeah, this is a good kit, and like, I feel like both these kits are going to be in the same spot, so I might as well talk about the female version, which the sprues look very different for as well.
Yeah, there's more guns on the frame of the females, if I remember correctly from looking at it, whereas the male frame had like the supplemental weapons.
Yeah. Uh,
So actually, I don't know if there is a supplemental weapon frame for the women
doesn't seem
versus
like
the
it.
men.
It seems like
Yeah,
they
they
get
just put all.
it's a little less bits. It looks like in general here, but more weapons. Like,
Hmm.
huh?
Yeah, so less non-combatants like you can make with the civilians. Also, it means there's going to be less kit bashing with because there's the agents set which have some female
Yeah.
bodies because all the bodies are going to be a little bit smaller than the males, which makes sense.
Yep.
But like the male set can be kit bashed very readily with both the agent set and the operators for a lot of different weapon types, which is cool. Whereas here you're kind of going to be stuck with just what's in the set and maybe some options from the agents to make some different kinds of um, civilians. I would say the civilians one is like an A for me, and this is one tier down,
Yeah.
uh,
I
just only by virtue of the number of options
bits.
that you
Yeah.
have within the set and that you can bash with from other parts of the range.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I completely agree with that. I thought this would have more bits actually than just one sprue, basically. It's the same
Hmm.
miniature count too, I think, right? 24,
Yeah, I've got 24 for
24.
civilians one and 24 for civilians two. Yeah, 24 and 24.
Okay. So you wanted to put Survivors 1 in.
I'd say that's an A, and the Survivors 2 is a B.
Yeah, that seems fair to me. And then we have the Agents next.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I'll get the operators here as well. This set I remember watching your review on because was one of the sets I was kind of interested in because I was interested in a lot of Spectre operator games.
Oh yeah, yeah,
They have like a lot of resonant metal miniatures, and this seems like a good cheaper alternative to getting those miniatures just because they're
yeah.
expensive and metal, and I prefer working with plastic. Um, yeah, this has got a ton of weapon choices, which I love.
Yep. Yeah, the only downside to it is that and again, I'm all for representation. The only critique is that when you include both men and women in one box, it means certain bits are going to be only functional on certain bodies. So it kind of halves the number of functional bits per body, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
But overall, there's so much in there that actually I didn't feel that it was severely limiting when it came to building figures. And I love the look of it. I love the options that came in it. Almost everybody had sunglasses, but that's okay too if you're kit bashing with the civilians. There's lots
yeah,
of
you can
non
just replace.
sunglasses heads,
Yeah,
so it makes sense that they went that route with this. I really enjoyed this set. That was a lot of fun.
yeah, and it's just not. I don't think anyone really also produces this kind of set.
No,
Also,
nope.
um,
No, like we were talking about with like if they ever do Cold War miniatures, there's very little competition on the market for 1970s, 80s, whatever
yeah,
um, conflicts. So it would be cool to see their take there. But likewise here, like how many like again these could be law enforcement, these could be heat style bank robbers, it
I
could be
was.
private
Yeah,
security,
Sic-
be whatever you want.
yeah, I'm thinking like Sicario when I look at these miniatures as
Yeah,
well. Like, also like outside of certain more modern guns, like these could work for like Cold War CIA agents as well. Like
yeah.
MP5s were in use still and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Shotguns
I
still
made
make
some
sense.
German police using the operator's set and the MP5s from this set
Yeah,
to make some like 1990s style like German Polizei.
yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. If they did like if you were talking about Cold War, if they did a KGB set, that'd be so cool.
Yeah,
Uh,
that actually is one. It's a great point you made there. That the one critique I saw of all of these pulp line sets is that I don't think any of them come with AK-47s, which is wild. Uh,
yeah. I was gonna mention that because I think the operators do though. They come with more modern AKs, I think.
they do, yeah. I think there's two variants that have like the forward grip on them.
Yeah.
There's no just like standard run of the mill AK-47s anywhere, which is curious because it is such a common weapon worldwide.
Yep. Agents, where would you put it? I would say A.
It's an A for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I figured. And then the operators, since we were talking about them, are next. And there was, I forget the game, but Warlord Games, I think, sold them. They used to make a plastic operator kit, and it kind of
Yep.
reminded me of that. I forget its name, but it was essentially the same kind of kit, but this is just a better version of that. And that's
It is. The
discontinued.
only thing that one had, and I never got my hands on it, but I've been scouring eBay to see if anybody just has a sprue just for posterity, to have a review up. But they had night vision goggles in that one,
Yeah,
and this one does not, and that was pretty sweet. So
that is one thing that this is definitely missing is that. Um,
yeah, and suppressors is another thing, or silencers, suppressors for firearms. I don't think any of the sets came with those, which is
that's
another,
true.
especially for like special forces type. You would think that would
Yeah,
be enough.
that's a good point. But again, these operators look pretty versatile. Like they can just
Yep.
act as mercenaries. You can mostly do Eastern, like more spec opsy looking people as well, or soldiers, I would say. Um, okay, they have one bear AK, I guess here that I'm seeing, but
Okay, good.
yeah, I would like to see a little more Eastern weaponry as well, Eastern European, I guess, influences. But at least there's an SVD. But then they have no like Europe, NATO like sniper rifle. I don't think either. Then
No, they don't. I remember that being a criticism, as that there was no, as you say, NATO aligned sniper rifle. There's the SVD, and I think that was it.
I feel like they should. I feel like it would have been better to have a 1 and 2 for this set and have like an Eastern and then a Western kind of set.
Yeah, agreed. And I think what they were trying to do is have people like if they're on campaign right? That you're kind of claiming weapons on the battlefield and stuff like that. That's where the AK comes from. That's where the
Yeah,
ASV comes from. But
this
I agree. I think it would have been better to have two sets here.
this feels very like Call of Duty inspired.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Still a cool kit though, for sure. And way better than that old Warlord Games kit that came out years ago.
Agreed. And with that one being gone, it means there's really no other alternatives on the market. And this is also good for not just special forces and stuff, but I mentioned like police,
Yeah,
you
for
could use
sure.
something like that, or just criminals, right? This
Yeah,
heavily armed criminals
yeah, exactly. It's like
and some head swaps.
if you want to play Spectre miniatures and you don't like metal or resin, use these kind of figures instead.
Yep.
I would still put this in A, even if it's
I agree.
missing some stuff that I'd
Yeah,
appreciate.
every it's all quibbles, anything
Yeah,
criticisms
exactly.
I have of it.
And some people probably don't even care that if they're not into like modern like firearms as much, basically, and just want some
Yep.
like modern figures. Who cares? Where did I put them? I'm just going through that. Am I crazy? Or maybe I didn't even include. Oh, there they are. I just put them as operators. That's why. Yep, number A. And then the last kit here is the zombies, and this one is probably probably one of the worst kits in my opinion, actually, because there's just so many zombies on the line. Like, there's so many zombie miniatures out there, and I really hate these like torn up clothing that all of them have. It's it's way too much in my opinion.
I think they should have narrowed the scope a little bit too, because I like the concept. Like I was, giving them praise for this toolkit kind of design,
Yeah,
where you can kind of make whatever zombie you want. But they included way too many
different.
heads from way too many different periods. Like
Yeah,
no one looks at this and is going to believe this is a convincing like Napoleonic undead
with that
figure. Just
torso.
because yeah,
Yeah,
it's just the clothing is too modern. They should have stuck, I think, to especially if it's in the pulp range, to stick to kind of that, call it 20th century on aesthetic for the heads. And I agree with you in terms of the styling of the clothes. Even the way it was sculpted, it almost looks like it was sculpted as clean miniatures first, and then they just like rough them up
yeah.
rather than going into it, designing from the ground up like a zombie figure. So anyway.
They kind of remind me of the Mantic zombies, and I think those are like way better.
Yeah, they're more dynamic. The
Yeah,
I guess the Mantic one doesn't have that many options in it, but
yeah,
I've seen a lot of great work done with just that simple three model kit. So
yeah, exactly. I don't know. I'd say this is like a C for me.
yeah, I think so. Good value though. I think it's 30 minutes. Well, I guess this is $45 compared to I don't know what
30
Mantic
for
would be. But
45. Yeah, I don't know the Mantic one off the top of my head. Um, yeah, it's just like why have these extra head options? They just shouldn't have been included. And like the clothing just looks really stupid and like old school kind of like zombie vibes, I guess. If you're
Mhm.
into like a more like 80s like B horror movie kind of vibe, I guess that would fit these well, but eh,
Sure,
eh. Just so many better zombie kits out there, honestly.
sure.
All right, and I think that's it from the sci-fi ranges. The classic, yeah, we're not going to cover the classic fantasy battles. This is like the 10 millimeter scale
Hmm.
stuff, and that's just not our thing, and it's just not fair to compare to other 28 millimeters stuff. So then we go on to
No, I
classic.
agree.
We got classic fantasy miniatures, and there's a lot here actually to go through. I forgot.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess we'll start with the skeletons. From zombies to skeletons. If you really like Jason and the Argonauts, then you'll really like this set.
That's it. Period. Like, no notes. That's there's one quirk about this that I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something to do with the is that the bow arm? There's a missing arm is the
Oh
short of it
yeah.
from
Okay.
when I put it together. I can't remember if it was like a shield arm was missing or a bow arm was missing. I don't remember. But there was something weird about this set. Not enough to like knock it down a tier, but that stands out in my mind.
Okay.
Uh, and yeah, it's very stylized. So yeah, if you're into that kind of thing, I think you're gonna like what you get here.
And we have 32 miniatures for $40, so
I
it's
have that written down as
yeah,
well.
that's a big
Yeah.
deal in my opinion. Actually, I don't know how big a deal, but in my opinion, that's a big deal because that is a lot more miniatures. And if you're
Yeah.
realistically, if you have skeletons in your game, you kind of want a lot. Um,
I agree. Yeah, this is one where it was another half sprue design, if I recall
yeah,
correctly. So I think it would benefit like the Le Grenier from a redo with a full sprue. Like I'm curious to see what they would have done in terms of additional bits if they'd had a full sprue to work with.
yeah, for sure. It'd be kind of cool to see maybe a little bit of armor here and there, maybe
Yeah,
like a leg with a greave on, or some like vambrace or something.
yeah,
And more bows, even, or more poses for the bows, specifically.
yeah. I
Uh,
think there's just the one archer pose, if I remember right.
yeah. Um, I would say this is like a B, honestly. There's so many
Yeah,
different
thought it'd be.
there's so many different skeleton sets, so like unless you're really into this specific style, like you might want to look at the other ones from like Oathmark or even Games Workshop or Mantic Games.
Yeah,
Um, but like this is still a really good set in my opinion if you're just looking to get skeletons.
yep.
And we've got the Halfling Militia. Um, I I just don't like halflings or dwarves. So
Sure.
my opinion's a little bit skewed, but this is pretty good still, and I think this is a really good set to have because there are people who love, halflings, especially like if you're doing empire stuff especially. I know people will really like this. And I like the different helmet choices. Like the great helmet is a fun choice that I like that I saw there. Um yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's good, especially considering it's another half sprue design. This, I think, was actually the first fantasy kit they put out, and it
Yeah.
does hold up in terms of sculpting. Everything looks good. It's fun and whimsical. Even with the half sprue design, it has a lot in there. I do question some decisions, like the pikes, and pole arms look cool, but there's no like sword options or anything like that. And I don't think there's enough bow options for everybody. There's some like slings and stuff, but it would
Yeah.
have been cool once again to see what they did with a full sprue here.
Yeah, if we got some like command choices like a banner as well and a
Yeah,
musician.
yeah.
Um because I think people will want to use these for, I'm assuming, Warhammer Fantasy mostly.
For sure. There's
Uh
40 miniatures. I don't think we mentioned
yeah,
that.
I was about to say this is a
Versus.
lot of minis.
hmm
um yeah, that's basically $1 per mini, or just like a little less, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would consider this maybe A, maybe B. There's no real competition. It has.
I guess, yeah, let's bump it up to A then. Again, and given the value, 40
Yeah,
miniatures is something I want to give them praise for.
yeah,
So,
absolutely. And then something you recently talked about, the giant spiders.
oh my God.
This
Yeah.
was the first kit I bought actually for Wargames Atlantic.
Yeah.
And I was at the time I actually liked it because it was so much cheaper than the Goblin Spider Rider set from Games Workshop. So this was
Yeah, good point.
I really liked it, but looking at the legs just here kind of shows you kind of the problems with this
Yeah.
kit. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have fun putting it together. I liked the finished models. I thought they all looked really good. And as you said, from a price point standpoint, I also took kind of issue with the model count. That on the front it says I think 24 miniatures, but
Yeah.
it's actually not. It's 12. 12 giant spiders and then 12 of the smaller size spiders,
Yeah.
which is fine. I mean, that's still fine from a price point standpoint. But yeah, I built two of these things and was done. Like, there's no way I'm putting any more of these together.
um and like yeah, it has the cutesy, you can have like the guns with them too and stuff. I know that. Um I might be misremembering, but I swore the older version of this kit actually came with Goblin Riders on it, but I could just be misremembering and I got those separately.
Interesting. Yeah, well, I wondered that because the Goblin kit, which we'll talk about in a minute, has saddles. Like in some of the
Yeah.
legs, that was my main critique, is that it was clear they designed that set to be kind of pulling double duty.
Yeah.
So, would have been better to have just a Goblin Spider Rider set, I think, as like a dedicated set.
Yeah.
So,
Uh I don't know. In terms of how the spiders look, they're okay too. But I don't think they're that good looking. Actually, looking at this more and more, I'm liking it less and less in terms of
yeah,
how
I
the spider.
can't overstate just how frustrating they were to put together too. Like on par maybe with the old Wargames Factory slash Warlord skeletons where like the feet are detached and to
Oh,
glue
that's
the
so
feet in
dumb.
place.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a nightmare. But yeah, these are up there in terms of frustrating build experience. So
D.
C or D for me. Yeah, maybe D just because they are that frustrating.
Yeah, if they're frustrating. then I gotta put them lower. And did I forget them also? I might have forgotten them. Don't worry, they're in D.
They're in D, everybody.
Yeah, I
There's
just.
gonna be a quiz at the end, so
All right, and then we've got lizardmen, goblins, and the ogres. I'm just gonna do these like three at a time. All right, lizardmen. Um, I, I don't know. I think these look okay, but like, they don't do anything special for me. Um, they seem like very 80s vibe to me. So if that's your
I agree. Yeah, in fact, it's funny you mentioned Jason and the Argonauts. I also kind of got like a claymation dinosaur
yeah,
impression from these. So sort of similar, I think, inspiration here. Actually, the main issue I had with this is that I think it was just poorly branded. Like, this is not a fantasy lizardman set. You can even see from the options.
it's
It's like it's
guns.
like 8 firearm options. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's crazy. It was like it's like two smoothbore muskets. There are like some repeating rifles, some like machine guns. So though, yeah, like and just barely enough hand weapons to equip everybody with javelins. So yeah, it was just trying to do too much, and that
yeah.
was the shame of it.
Um, like this would be really cool to use in Stargrave, actually.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Um, 24 miniatures again for $40, so a little more on the line of their newer products, I guess, in terms of pricing.
Hmm.
I don't know. I'd say this is like a B. Like I don't really have any huge faults with this set. It just aesthetically and like design wise is just not my thing, and
I
it's
see.
just
I would make a case for C only because of if they had branded this as like a sci-fi
yeah,
scavengers kit,
that's true.
it would have been fine. But it's not. It's branded as a classic fantasy
Yeah,
lizardman box,
that's
and it
true.
barely functions as one.
Yeah,
So
yeah. This is not an alternate for like Source or anything like that. That's for
I
sure.
don't think so.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. You're right. C is good with me. All right. Next up is the Goblin Warband. I swear to God, maybe I got a bundle or something that I don't remember, but I swear like a sprue of this came with the spiders that I got, but maybe I just got some
Mm.
bundle somewhere that I'm just misremembering. Um, but these are more or less like the Lord of the Rings style, like of goblins, I would say. Um, Less like
Yeah.
large pointy noses and stuff. And I don't think there's too many uh like aesthetically wise, I don't think there's too many goblins that are like this nowadays. Actually, in terms of
Well, the only counterpoint I might make is I just did the review for the Warlord Games orcs,
yeah,
which are incidentally the old War Games factory orc sculpts,
yeah.
and they are pretty much the same model
Oh, really?
because the
Okay.
orcs were really small. Yeah, and in fact, I think I even did one conversion where I used a torso from the goblins and the legs from the Warlord orcs, and they worked perfectly. And the design is the same. It's all very clearly to me Angus McBride inspired. If you look at some of his artwork, where it's kind of the pantsless orcs with the kind of fantasy kettle helms with the horns on it. So
Yeah,
anyway, it's a cool vibe, it's a cool aesthetic, cool take. My main criticism was that it was trying to do double duty with the spiders set. So
yeah,
some of the legs are kind of wide stance because they needed them to also be able to work in a saddle,
yeah.
and I think it suffered a little bit as a result of that. But this was actually my first review that I ever did was of this box.
And 30 miniatures again, for $40, so it's a little bit
Hmm.
larger than the 24.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I mean they look cool if you like the aesthetic. Like that's the big thing. Like you said, Angus McBride. Then this is a cool set. Um, I just wish there was some more unique options. Like I always like having a command sprue and things. I feel like
yeah.
there's just no good like banner like spear even or anything like that. That's the big thing. I like having banners in units and you can't really do that with this set, which is
Yeah,
a shame.
agreed.
I would say this is like a B for me. I feel like
Yeah, it's
there's
a B for me too.
yeah. The other thing I guess is you could compare this to the actual Lord of the Rings miniatures goblin set.
Yeah.
I mean that one's old though.
Sure, the like the Moria goblins.
Yeah, I was thinking the Moria goblins. But even like I guess just like the mortal orcs, I guess, because if they're in similar scale, like how big are these miniatures actually? Because I don't think I've watched your video on this.
Yeah,
Uh,
they're bigger than a Games Workshop Night Goblin, like the
oh,
newer
okay.
ones, not the old
Yeah.
6th edition sculpt. So they're bigger than that, and they're definitely smaller than kind of any orc out there. So yeah, they're probably a little bit bigger than the Moria goblins, or maybe on par with like a Mordor orc from Middle Earth strategy battle games,
Okay.
something like that.
Um, and then yeah, we have. You know what? Let's go over there. Never mind. I thought they had a different kit also that I was thinking of, but never mind. Never mind. I'm thinking of a different. I'm thinking of Oathmark actually. uh,
Yeah.
yeah. Uh,
Sure, we could do a whole separate video on North Star, by the way.
that's
But
true.
anyway,
That would be a good
yeah.
one. Then we've got the Landsnecht Ogres, which is a pretty cool set. Um, the one complaint I have, and I just passed it, the choice of guns here really threw me
Yeah.
off because like their torsos just don't match these like modern
No.
guns at all. Just make a separate ogre, like a sci-fi ogre kit instead.
I agree. So this, I don't know if you remember, this actually came about as a result of a community poll
Yeah, it did.
where it was sort of like in the style of the old Wargames factory. What was it called? The Liberty and Union League or something like that, where you could like, if you bought miniatures, you would then have votes based on how much you bought.
Yeah.
So it's kind of similar concept here, but yeah, this set won, and I almost get the feeling like Wargames Atlantic was like, "Are you sure?" Because like this is such a niche subject to have Landsknecht ogres. And so they were like, well, we have to do something else with this, right? Let's throw
Hmm.
some guns in there at least. But as you said, it becomes a hodgepodge at that point with the poofy pants and
Yeah, it looks
the
off.
shotgun.
Yeah, they just don't look right to me. But just the, like the Landsneck ogres as themselves, though, they look good in my opinion. I like the weapon
Yeah, they're fun.
choices. Yeah, um,
And we're biased as old Empire guys
yeah,
too,
that's
so this
true.
is right up our alley. So
The other weird thing is again we have 9 miniatures.
yeah,
But I guess if you were playing ogres in Warhammer Fantasy, I actually think that was the old number of guys you used to have in a regiment. Actually, normally in a small regiment of ogres is like 9 to 8 of them. Um,
yeah, I agree. And for monstrous infantry too, that especially if there's sprues of three, so we're dealing with multiples of three no matter what.
yeah,
So like if 9 is too few, 12 is too many for the price point. So I think that's probably what they reasoned, was that this is closer to the, I think 10 is the, in our minds, the correct model count. So they went with this, which I'm fine with, again, for monstrous infantry for what, 39.95.
yeah, it's
It's
not
the price
bad.
point.
Not even bad. That's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. Certainly compared to Games Workshop pricing, but even compared to Mantic, which I think is like usually 6 models for $50 or something
Yeah.
like that.
And also this just like it works well for just D&D and stuff as well if you need ogres for your RPG, you know. Like
Yeah, I do wish. I hope someday we see like just generic ogres and
less
generic
poofy.
trolls from them. Yeah,
Yeah.
again, I like it because I like that old Empire aesthetic, but I
It's
know
specific.
it's quite niche. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not a wide amount of demand for that.
Yep, for sure. Where would you put this? I was thinking A.
Yeah, I think it's an A, but we're biased, but that's okay.
Yeah. All right. And then let's do some more. We've got skeleton cavalry, werewolves, guards, villagers.
Yeah, we're gonna have to speed up. We got a whole other page here of
Yeah, I
notes,
just
like of all the other
yeah.
stuff.
I forgot how much stuff was in classic fantasy range actually.
Yeah,
So we've got the cavalry and the chariot set. It's cool that they did both in one set.
yeah.
And I think it works. Um,
Yeah, I think the ratios work too. I think it's 10 cavalry and two
two.
chariots,
Yep,
if I remember right.
yep. You got it.
I
And
think that's about correct.
yeah, I think this is good. The chariots look right for what they're going for. Again, you're getting that Jason and the Argonauts, like the Greco style stuff. Do you also just get normal figures on the ground with this kit as well?
So I think the way that it works is there are a crew for the chariots,
Oh, and
and so there's a lot of them that come in there. So I think that's the suggestion, is that you can use some of the leftovers as just
okay.
infantry.
I mean, that's cool.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know. I'd put this in like, would I say A? Yeah, I think this is actually better than the normal skeleton kit because it's also
it is.
and it's hard to find other skeleton chariots outside of the Tomb King's ones, and the horses look fine. Like the skeleton horses look good. I like we talked about this before, but like normal ones from Games Workshop still hold up, but these ones are a little bit nicer in scale, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, in retrospect, I'm kind of surprised they went with this Jason and the Argonauts vibe to like differentiate from Games Workshop. Whereas, like with their Death Fields range, it's so clear that they're trying to go after that market directly. So I am just surprised that they didn't just do Tomb King shields here or something,
Yeah, that's good.
Egyptian inspired shields.
Yeah, that's
Because I think that
well. Did I'm not that big on antiquities, but did Greeks even use chariots? Really?
no,
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's not really a Greek thing, anyways. I would still put this in A, honestly, though.
yeah, I love it. Yeah, it's fun, versatile, good value. I think.
Yep. The werewolves. As much as I kind of like this kit, I don't think anybody needs 20 werewolves.
That was my takeaway from the review. Yeah.
Like,
For
I had a Mordheim campaign, and like we were trying to think of like models to give everybody, and it was like, you know what, everybody's just getting a sprue of werewolves because how else? How else is the
yeah,
store that I was like running the game at like gonna sell these models? Who needs
yeah.
that many werewolves?
I had feedback from people that they were trying to make these more like D&D werewolves, where they don't get huge. They're not like minotaur sized. They're man sized. And I think then they ran into this problem of like, as you said, nobody needs 20 of these things, but I want to sell it for a certain price point. I don't want to sell like 10 of them for $24. I want to sell 20 of them for 45 or whatever it is.
Yeah,
So, or 40. So yeah, you just end up with a lot. I will say too, from a design standpoint, that they are a little bit campy. I
yeah, that's
think
for
that
sure.
it's yeah, kind of like a anime werewolf maybe is kind of the feeling that I get from them.
Yeah,
So would have liked to have them a little more rough around the edges, but that's just my own personal taste.
yeah, I would say this is like a B. Like
Yeah,
if
call them a B. That's fine. I think that the poses are really fun. I did enjoy putting them together.
yeah,
Uh, but
uh,
as you say, like, what's the use case for this? But I guess a counter argument, like, what's the use case for launch-necked ogres? So,
yeah, but like, what are you using werewolves for in like games? Like,
that's a good question. So I've seen some, even people in my own gaming group, like there's one VC player who uses them as ghouls.
oh, okay, that's a
Just
good idea, actually.
yeah, so just as ghouls or just kind of generic bad. I could see it also being like army, like what is it, the Forsaken,
Oh,
uh,
they're like,
what are they called? The crazed berserker types.
yeah, the
So
Norskin
there's
guys.
yeah, something like that. Anyway, there I could think of little again, still niche projects, but little use cases for these.
I mean, I still appreciate that there is a plastic werewolf kit on the line, also, just because it's
I
not.
agree, and I do think sometimes they design kits with an eye toward the sprue reseller market. Because I think that was maybe their expectation is that like not a lot of people are going to pick up the box, but a lot of people are going to pick up one sprue.
Yeah, crude.
So that's kind of a way to divvy them up.
All right, and then we've got some other better kits out here, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh,
This one might be my first S tier.
yeah, this is such a good kit, and it kind of gives me vibes of the Empire Militia kit in some way, just because of
Yeah,
its
absolutely.
versatility and just how many bits you get and everything. Um, yeah, just such a cool kit. And like there's a lot of just like kit bash with any other fantasy or medieval set that they produce or other people produce that you can make work with this set also.
Agreed. Yeah. In fact, I think you can make some better command figures for your Baron's War using this set versus the actual Baron's War command.
True.
So,
Yeah, that's a good
yeah,
point.
there's a lot that you can do here. There's just so many bits included.
Yeah. And way better than the Archon Studios. Like we'll talk about it with the villagers as well, but this is just a better kit than
Yeah,
their version. And I
yeah, I
know
agree.
you love that version, I know, but you know.
That's true. Yeah. No, I think you're better off picking up this set and the Wargames Atlantic Villagers. You're again, there's a separate conversation about price point, but you're definitely going to get a lot more mileage out of these sets.
Yeah. I'd probably rate them both. I would you say this is one less lower the villagers?
Well, I'm biased because I'm a man's man and I like combatants. So like villagers appeal to me slightly less, but I know how valuable these are for like RPGers, or even like skirmish level games where you need a lot more non-combatants moving around. So yeah, just on merit, that in the same way that like guns are really cool in a lot of these sets, it's there's an argument that like villagers are boring by contrast, but I
Yeah.
think if you strip that away, it's still a really good set. It's so versatile. There's so much you can do with this.
One thing I will say is it feels like obviously these are fantasy miniatures, but the period seems all over the place a little bit.
It does. Yes, I would say it's firmly like almost steampunk in some cases
Yeah.
versus medieval.
Yeah,
Like
agreed.
the fishmonger on the front looks like
Absolute.
he's out of Gangs of New York.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And even this woman, this is way more like
that's like colonial American.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So it does feel a little bit all over the place in terms of certain design aesthetics.
I think that for me, like that's why they would brand this a fantasy kit over like a medieval villagers set
Yeah, for
because it
sure.
allowed them to kind of just play with a lot of different tropes and time periods and stuff like that. It is, I agree, somewhat anachronistic in some ways. And because there's men and women in this set, just like in the agents, it means some of the bits are specific to different bodies and aren't as freely mix and matchable. But it's a strong set. I think I'm hearing you make a case of an A and the guards are an S.
Yeah, that's
But
exactly what I'm thinking.
yeah,
Because
and I think I would agree with that.
the other thing is we just don't have that many. Like you were talking about how many military or combatant figures we get. There are not a lot of just
No,
normal people in plastic, especially, and especially
nope.
for a
Agreed.
decent price point as well. Like,
Yeah,
so yeah, I like S for the guard kit for sure. And oh, there's the giant spiders. Well, I found them. And the villagers at A, and I just see the spiders now. So where did I just see them? Giant spiders. That's what I wrote them down as. We put spiders at D for
yeah, they
frustrating.
were the
Yeah,
D.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
D for D for frustrating.
Yep. This kit was a fun kit that they added was the Halfling Cavalry. I actually thought this was a really good idea, and expanded the line a little more. Um, and honestly, if you're getting 40 halflings, you'll probably want some cavalry anyways with them. Like if you're building a halfling army, like that's what I figure people are getting for like. Why else are you getting 40 halflings? If you want that set, you'll want this set as well. It's just my opinion. Uh,
Agreed. Yeah, my only criticism of this set actually was that the scale is slightly larger than the halfling infantry for the heads
okay.
specifically. So I found I could use the heads from this set, and there's a lot of them on the halfling infantry, but I couldn't use the heads from the halfling infantry on this set. Like they look
Okay.
too small by comparison. But that's fine. Again, if you're picking up both, you're gonna have plenty of heads to go around. And I
Yeah.
think that the sets work well. And I was shocked actually at the amount of variety that you can get from this sprue that is functionally two models with just a ton of different heads and arm options.
Yeah, like I'm just looking at these assembled miniatures and there's a lot of that I really like about this. I like
Yeah.
the guy with the sausage links around him as well. That's just
Yeah, there's
fun.
lots of
And
food
the beer.
accessory
Yeah,
options
no,
on
this
this
is a
one.
really cool set. And I don't even like halflings, and I think this is cool, so that says something.
There you
Um
go. It's won you over.
yeah, I actually
Softens your heart.
yeah. The halfling set that softened my heart. I would say this is like A maybe, just because
It's an A. I don't think I could give it S just
no, it
because like if
definitely
it had like three or four different poses, maybe I could bump it up further. But it's great. It's a lot of fun. It's whimsical and
yeah,
well executed.
yeah, for sure. And then we have the safety. I just picked this kit up yesterday, actually. So,
What do you think about that? I have thoughts on was it RGD Gaming is who did it or designed it?
oh, I have no
MTG.
idea. Oh yeah, you're right. RGD Gaming, who originally created these satyrs. Yeah. Uh, um, in terms of comparing them to like the Beastmen, it's hard to argue because their aesthetics are very different. This is very like Greek, or mythological kind of like
Sure.
actual, not actual real satyrs, but what the mythology is based on, kind of where, and the artwork of that time period fits them well. I don't like how their arms are
Okay.
done. That was my biggest complaint, I think, and the weapon choices were my next biggest complaint. The spears are so short. Um,
Mhm.
I would have preferred to see like longer spears, and I also think I would have liked to see some two-handed weapons as well.
how's the detail sharpness? Because this is another thing where sometimes the paint jobs I don't think do the miniatures justice. So I can't really tell from the paint jobs, like because it seems like some of them have some pretty smooth details. But
They
I
they are smooth. They are
okay,
very, very smooth. Like I was even like looking at them and I was thinking I could replace their like animal head with like a human head. Uh,
wow,
yeah, and you could get like a freaky looking kind of person, but
yeah,
it doesn't look like that out of place. Like they look like a scary muscled person basically if you give
yeah,
them um and like they have like fur around their groin area basically. Like yeah, actually here you can kind of see it. They put fur around there. That's kind of it. But if you look at certain sculptures from like this period of like the Greco period, you will see satyrs aren't supposed to be that furry, and it depends
mm,
on I guess the vibe of them as well. Because even some versions of Pan the God, he's also doesn't even have a goat head. He's actually just a bearded, freaky looking guy. Um,
yeah. I like the size of them. It looks like they're slightly bigger than the human models
oh
from that
yeah,
scale.
they
Shot.
scale wise they are bigger than the just normal humans and everything as well.
Yeah,
And I'm glad I picked this up because I'm going to be converting a bunch of stuff with them as well.
yeah,
But yeah, if you're looking for more hairy kind of quote unquote beastmen, essentially, I
yeah,
wouldn't recommend the set if you want something a bit more hairy and more bestial. There's
yeah,
it's not there.
yeah.
And the weapon choices, like I don't know how I feel about them. And obviously, like they're supposed to be very specifically like the Greco-Roman or Antiquities style. Um, I don't know. That's just my rambling, I guess. But I would say this is like still an A because it is still hard to find like quote unquote beastmen plastic miniatures still, in my opinion,
Sure, yeah. I mean, that's a
that look
great
good.
point. That I just did my fantasy wrap up video for the alternate miniatures
Yeah,
shopping guide, and there's nothing for Beastman, nothing.
yeah. Um, yeah, it's a shame too because I think we need more goatmen.
Yeah, agreed. I'm curious because I know North Star is doing their Warriors of Athena range, so I'm curious to see what they put out in plastic for minotaurs, satyrs, centaurs, stuff like that.
Yeah, I would still call this an A. You just had to be into the style of how they look like, I
Sure,
think. Maybe B.
sure. I guess B if you're saying the details are kind of soft too.
Yeah, they are a little bit. And yeah, like I said, they're very naked. Like I think some
Sure.
people would appreciate actually more fur on them. Uh
Yeah.
and I liked actually that's the other thing. I actually like the very different head choices because there's one that's a lot more horse-like than just like a goat,
Mm,
and there's one
that is
that's like
cool.
more pig-like as well. So I like that idea as well. And I think that's it for fantasy.
Yeah, that's what I've got.
We're not doing Sharp's rifles because it's literally two miniatures, and
Sure. Yeah, they're
there's
standalone miniatures too.
they're nothing. There's not much to say about them. Maybe
Yeah.
I don't know. There's nothing there. So then we got into historicals now. More of we've got like the First Empire. I don't think I bothered putting the Bronze Age chariots on their own. Maybe I did. No, I did put them down. Um, they're just chariots without riders, though, which is kind of dumb. But
Yeah, I mean, I guess credit where credit is due that I like the concept of the miscellaneous, what is it, general
General Accoutrements,
accoutrements range.
yeah,
Yeah, that they're basically putting this out as I don't know what the hell you're going to use this for, but use it for whatever you want. And as the person who likes kit bashing, I know you do too. That's a
yep.
cool concept, and I hope they expand that range further. And
I
they look fine.
yeah, they look fine, but $36 for three. Do you think that
No,
value is there though?
no, it's not. I think it should be six.
Yeah,
it's Yeah, six for $36, something like that.
like there's no real extra bits you get from it at
And
all.
another good point that you can't use it out of the box for anything. You have to
Yeah,
mash it with something else. You have to have invested some other amount of money, even if it's previously invested into your bits box, in order to use these.
I would say this is a C for me.
Yeah, I guess you're right. In terms of value, that does tank it a bit, but I like the
Yeah,
concept.
yeah, I like the concept. Wish the price was a bit better.
Yeah,
We have the Persian infantry. Did you review this set? I swear you did, but I could be
I
crazy.
did.
Yeah,
Yeah, and yeah, it's good. It's good. It's fine. It's I generally don't like when the arm you see the arm with the archer pose
Yeah, I
there
was
and is
looking at that.
pre-sculpted. That really limits things. And again, I guess the pose is already limited enough. But you could do little things like turn the hand or turn the arm, just add some variety. But yeah,
Yeah.
Gripping Beast does that in a few of their kits too, where the arms are pre-sculpted in.
Yep.
And not a fan of that. This is one of the strongest values that they offer per miniature, along with the halflings, which we looked at.
Yeah.
Their Blood Oath Irish, where it's 40 miniatures for 38.95, I think.
Yeah, it's better than the halflings actually.
Yeah, for a dollar cheaper. So,
Yeah. Um
but this is another one that suffers from the Victrix problem.
yeah, I
Victrix
was gonna
has
say.
like four different Persian infantry kits, and they're excellent. All of them are excellent.
uh B?
Yeah, okay, B. Again,
That's
the value is quite strong, but
yeah,
yeah,
value is strong, but you know what? I don't think I put the Persians here. That's a shame. Well,
they're B.
they're B. Whatever. I forgot
Yeah.
something. Whatever. Um Might of Rome. This surprised me that there was only one set here. I actually thought they would have a lot more Roman figures. Just because it's a
They are
pop.
coming out with gladiators soon, which I
Oh,
am
that.
incredibly excited for.
Yeah, I really hope it mashes well with this set because I know this set has some like gladiatorial bits in it too. Because I think this set
Yeah, there's
is.
there's a few. Yeah, this is cool. This was one that is another one where they affiliated with, is it Footsore? Somebody else sculpted these, and then they produced them. But yeah, it's the same thing with whoever they're partnering with the gladiators. It was part of some Kickstarter they were doing.
Right.
So
But
yeah,
that.
this is for the Gangs of Rome game,
Yeah.
if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
it is. Um, but this is really cool as a set, just in general. Like,
It's a lot of fun and a good option as like a villagers set. So there's a good number of non-combatant arms, or you could easily modify them into non-combatant arms
yeah,
if you wanted to. Because as I understand it, that's part of the Gangs of Rome game. Like the system is that it's like your gangs are milling about within a crowd, and there's lots of cool little mechanics of like people disappearing or reappearing within crowds of people.
yeah.
Um, so
Yeah, I was tempted to get this kit for like a Mordheim Pit Fighters like warband actually.
you
Uh
should. I would hold out till the gladiators are out
yeah,
too, though.
now
So
that
you can
yeah,
match those
you're
two
just saying
sets.
that, now I'm gonna wait for that because I
Yeah.
love just gladiators in general. Like I think they're so
Yeah.
cool. So yeah. And then we've got Decline and Fall. So they do have other Romans, I guess, like the late Romans, but that's a very different time period also.
Yeah.
Um And I mean, this set again. This is another set that has to be compared with the Victrix, basically
Sure
version.
does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is a shame because I think this is a decent kit. Um.
Yeah, they're coming out. Did we rank the Citizens of Rome, by
Oh
the
no,
way?
sorry, I
Where
just
did we
skipped
drop
it.
them?
I, w-
That's a great.
I was gonna say A, but
That's an A for me. Yeah, it's a
yeah,
great set.
yeah,
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot.
and yeah, sorry, yeah. Going back to the Romans though. This is also just like you're even competing with Warlord games, but the Warlord games versions are probably worse.
Yeah, Gripping Beast has some late Romans too,
Yeah,
which are they're small, and those are some of the ones that have those like pre-made archer bodies, which I'm not a fan of.
yeah,
But
yeah,
the Victrix range I mean, I'm building an entire Arthurian army based off the
yeah.
Victrix late Roman range. They're exceptional, like some of my favorite miniatures. So yeah, I will say some people have said they like the shields better in these. I don't, but for those that do, that's you got an option for them here where they're more round than the ovular ones that come in the Victrix set.
And it's cool that they have
So
like the what are they called, plumbata, the
yeah,
darts.
the plumbums. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, you're
uh,
probably right.
like that's a pretty cool like detail because I know that's a late Roman thing. Um,
hmm
but yeah, like the Victrix version. I wish I had pictures of the Victrix just up, but that would have just taken some time. Like
Yeah, yeah.
they're just better. That's the sad case of.
They
I think.
are. I think Wargames Atlantic is putting out a different version of their late Roman legionaries here too, with different armor, if I'm not mistaken. Because
Oh,
this is
okay.
with the
The male.
Lurica Hamada, the
Yeah.
male. Yeah. So
Yeah, the fact that they specifically put one and Lorca Hamada, yeah, you're probably right.
yeah,
So where would you put this? I was thinking B.
these are a B. Yeah, these are fine.
It's just the case of Victrix being better. B should have just been Victrix does it better.
We make it V. Categories of V.
Yeah.
SAVCD.
And then we've got the Goth Warriors, and again, Victrix is better. um, 30 miniatures for good price point. But I just don't have anything really to say about this.
No, unfortunately, this is I keep coming back to this where like the way that Wargames Atlantic should try to differentiate themselves from Victrix with these sets is price point. Like just make it like a screaming good value because yeah, like even if you're not using these as goths, like say you wanted to use these as generic Dark Age figures,
Yeah,
Victrix has got you beat on every front, right? You got Rus, you've got their Vikings, you've got their Saxons, you've got their late Romans, like we've been talking about. The
yeah,
Scots that I just reviewed make
yeah.
phenomenal, just generic Dark Age warriors. Their Irish are coming out. Their Welsh are coming out. Carolingians are coming out. Anyway, this is like I don't even know why you would try to get into the pit and fight Victrix in the Dark Age because
I gotta say,
uh,
I hate you and I hate Victrix because I had no like interest in Dark Ages at all. And then I see these amazing sculpts and everything, and I'm like,
yep,
oh my god, I gotta have these now.
they're incredible. Yeah, and I've heard that you're not the first person to tell me that. Where it's like I don't care about Dark Age figures, but I like Victrix Dark Age figures, so I
Yeah,
bought them.
yeah. And then they have the Dark Age army builder where it's like is it a unique to them or is it just like a mix? No, it's just like a generic like
This is their attempt. This is clever. I like their approach here, and this is good value. Where it's 48 miniatures for $39 or something like
yeah.
that.
Yep, you're right.
Um, so yeah, my main criticism of their Dark Age stuff is that it's almost like too generic, like the very smooth, like cloth, kind
Yeah.
of nondescript clothing. You can't really pin it to any particular culture. Minimal accessories and stuff like that. But that's by design, right? They're
Yeah.
trying to make it to where you could use these for whatever you want. For
Yeah.
Vikings, for Saxons, for Normans, right? Goths, anybody within the British Isles.
Yeah,
So
pretty
that's cool,
much.
and they have a lot of different head options, if I remember, within
Yeah.
their army builder set.
Yeah,
That's
it
kind
looks
of
like a
the
lot.
concept.
That's what
Yeah, there's just
not
I think there's too much crossover with this, with their Goths and with their late Romans. In fact, even with some of the heads in there, like I think they are just some straight up late Roman and Goth heads.
yeah.
So would have been cool to see them hit like some other cultures like Rus. I mentioned like Carolingians, some of the
Yeah.
more iconically like Irish, for example, some of the shield designs and stuff. Anyway,
Or
um,
do you want to write this a B or a C?
this one's really good value.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's like
B,
yeah, yeah, B just because of the amount of guys you get is so many.
yeah,
All right, we're getting through. We don't have that many
no,
left. All right, so that's it from them. I'm not doing specifically the shields. They're just round shields.
no, sure, yeah, good to have, good.
There's Blood Oaths. Blood Oaths has the Dark Age Irish Warriors. It's the same thing. Uh, I mean, quickly talk about this one again, but Victrix, better kits. I like the dogs though. I appreciate the dogs. That's my
Yeah,
takeaway
in
from
fact,
this.
Victory, their Dark Age Irish is en route. It's going to be arriving here next week sometime, so I'll do that review. They're also going to include dogs and also going to include some unique weapons in there too. This is good value though. This is 40 miniatures for 38.95, so on par with the Persian infantry that we looked at. So yeah, I think of the 40 miniatures, that counts the dogs for 5 of them or something like that.
Yeah,
Anyway, it's some math like that, but they're cool. They're fine. I did find some of the heads were kind of wonky, and I don't know what it is. It's like the Aztec suffered with this too, where the bare chested option, the arms, like the way that the shoulder joint matches up, I never found to be quite convincing. It
mm,
looks kind of like it's
I'm seeing that.
jutting out a little bit.
Yeah, on this picture here, I can kind of see what you're talking about here, and it looks like they're trying to hide it a little bit or something.
Yeah, you need to use that cloak. It looks, yeah, they're doing that. They've done that there with the cloak
Yeah,
to kind of hide it. So yeah, they were fine, especially when they came out because this set came out like
yeah. This is an earlier.
6 years ago, 7 years ago, something like
Oh
that.
God,
So
yeah, yeah. It's cool set though. I would give this a B, and I think this is
yeah,
better
it's
than
B.
their
Put
Persian.
it in the Victrix category.
Yeah, where everything belongs. Oh, and I didn't put Goths there yet, but they also belong in B.
Yeah, they're B.
Like yeah, and that's it from decline. Yeah, we already did that. Irish Warriors. Renaissance, my favorite period.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll start with the Aztecs. You had this set, so what do you think of this set?
Yeah, that was my only gripe. I think. Well, first of all, credit here that one thing Wargames Atlantic does a really good job with, and I know that there's pros and cons to this too. That they're all over the place with the subject matter and the time periods that they
Yep.
try to represent, like the boxers, which we'll get to. Like nobody else
Yeah.
has done that. It's the
Yeah.
same thing here, where like nobody else does Aztecs in multi-part plastic. So credit to them, right?
Yeah.
That's really cool that they've done that. Um, yeah, they were fine. I found that the archer poses I didn't find quite convincing. Kind of smooth details in some places, and as I said, the bare chested, bare arm connection points look kind of like football shoulder pads with how big they are sometimes.
Yeah, I see what you're talking
So
about.
so yeah, but they're fine. And again, will absolutely bump it a tier just based on the virtue of nobody else does this, and
Yeah.
I don't think there's a huge market for multi-part plastic Aztec miniatures. So credit to them for diving in anyway.
Yeah. I actually I do kind of want Incans actually specifically and Mayans.
Yeah, yeah.
But I know I'm a niche. This is just a subject of my interest, so that's the thing. And I guess the other thing is I would like to see a little bit more of like a command. I know you have like Jaguar Warriors, but like the Aztecs did have very unique banners, or like I don't know if I would call them banners or yeah, banners, I guess, and certain iconography that I would have liked to see as well.
So
Um,
what War Games Atlantic does a lot, I don't know if they still do this, but this was sort of the vision at the beginning, is so this kit is a good example of this, where they have 3D print options for command.
yeah.
So like all those really iconic banners that you were talking about, there are kits available 3D printing for
Hmm.
those. I think they're getting away from that, or maybe trying to do, because we see now with all these separate command kits that they're putting out,
Yeah.
maybe just recognizing that there's probably an upward limit on the number of people within the community that even want a 3D printer. Like have access to one, like I could easily go get one, but I just don't want it,
Yeah, I
right?
don't
So
want one
like
either. I'm in the same
I
category.
think a lot of gamers are that way too. Even me, as like kind of a tech savvy millennial, I don't want that, right? I'm more about plastics.
But you
So
just got to think about like ventilation and all that stuff too. And
absolutely, there's a
like,
lot of considerations. Yeah.
yeah, it's just not as I feel like some people will say it's just like they're so cheap and amazing, but like there's just so much work into it to going into it,
Well,
honestly.
that actually could warrant a separate video where I think actually the reason that they're so cheap and amazing is specifically when you're using them as Games Workshop alternatives.
Yeah.
Games Workshop has kind of like created a dangerous zone for themselves where you're almost forcing people into 3D printing because of your pricing. Whereas like people like Victrix, like Perry, Wargames Atlantic to a certain extent, they're keeping their prices to the point where it's like, well, even directly comparing to 3D printing, like this is perfectly economical still, right? $2 a model or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So
We said
anyway,
A for Aztecs just because there's nothing else like them basically
yeah, I
out
like
there.
them. And again, I want to bump them a tier from wherever they would be. So yeah, I probably would have put them in B. So yeah, bump them a tier because ain't nobody else doing multi-part plastic Aztecs.
Yeah. The next set we have is the Conquistadors. I've never picked this set up in my life, so I don't know what it's like. Yeah, when this came out, I bought 10 boxes actually. I was so excited for this set. And you know what? Rightfully so. This set is so good. I love this set so much. That being said, though, I hate the crossbows in the set. I love this set so much, but I do not like the crossbows.
Yeah.
Specifically, this one half bit here, where like you have to assemble the crossbow in half. So
Yeah.
frustrating, actually. But I can really ignore it because there's two other crossbows, or I can just get other crossbows from another kit, basically, where it's not too
Yeah.
much of a problem. But this works for basically Empire. I feel like some people use it too much for like all the Empire provinces, where I'm like, it looks a little too Spanish in my opinion. But
Sure. They're not Sterlinders.
no, they can't look like Sterlingers. I don't think they can work for Mindenheimers also. But
Yeah.
like, still such a good kit basically for anything.
Agreed.
And just for historical like tercios or conquistadors, they look good.
Yeah.
You have any thoughts on the set?
No, I'll leave that to you. I mean, I have picked this up. I enjoyed it immensely. I think your review of this set was one of the first videos I ever saw on your channel, and I enjoyed it so much that I even vowed at the time, like, I'm never going to review this set because yours was so thorough and well done. So,
Oh, well, thank you.
yeah,
Well, that
it's a
I
great
think
set.
that's kind of how I found your channel out, actually, was because of that video. So there you go. Because I think you like commented on it. I was like, oh, let's see this guy's channel. It's like, oh shit, this
Yeah,
guy makes cool stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, and I really liked your kit bashes with like you did Perry miniatures stuff with them.
Yeah,
I
I made some like armored pikemen. Yeah, bashing them up with some the Perry foot knights from their Renaissance range. That's another one. I do hope somebody eventually like does another foray, be it Victrix, even Wargames Atlantic, as you say, into just like some generic War of the Roses era infantry for like you know us Empire players looking to
yeah,
pick up.
yeah, we do really need just in general more Renaissance and more late medieval kits.
Yep.
Actually,
Yep.
it's so crazy to me that there isn't really that many because you
Yeah.
Warlord Games' kits are fine, but they're old and their scale is off compared to these
There.
as well.
Yes. Yep.
Um, I feel like I would put this in either S or A.
I'd put it in S, man. Let's throw it in there. I think
Yeah,
this is a great set.
this is,
Really, really well done.
and also
Comes
when
with
it,
a ton of weapon options. I don't like the swords. I don't know if you mentioned that.
yeah, that's the
The
other thing actually. I think I mentioned that in my review of this kit actually was that
yeah,
I don't like the swords that much. They're also pretty much all the same. Like they're more like arming swords.
yeah,
Um, and like they're accurate realistically in terms of their size, but I feel like they look a little wrong. I don't know.
yeah. Beauty.
Um, and yeah, it would have been nice to see more like rapiers or basket hilts and that kind of thing.
Yep,
Yeah, yeah. Still a good kit though. And I love this kit, so I can't say much more about it.
yep.
And a kit that I was disappointed by actually was the Conquistador Cavalry set. Actually, uh,
Tell the people what is the difference between the Conquistador Cav and the Renaissance Heavy Cav.
um, basically it's the bodies. Like that is the difference essentially. It's the bodies
Okay,
that you get. Um,
so
so
just like plate armor cuirasses versus
yeah.
gambesons. Is that
So this is the like you get basically one unique sprue with the Conquistador Cavalry set that you don't get with the Renaissance kit instead, basically. Um,
okay?
so here we go. The Renaissance Heavy Cavalry has this sprue, which is like a big full sprue, has tons of like more armored horses. All of the cavalry are armored as well. You get guns and stuff, and more sword options. The Conquistador Cavalry instead get two sword options. They get these three bodies here. None of them are armored. Also, they have no like breastplates or anything like that. Oh, yeah, I guess you get also these two arms. But this set was very disappointing in just terms of bits that you get. Um,
Oh wow, so there's none of the pistol options or
you
anything
get
like
no
that in the
pistols. No, you don't get pistols at
Wow,
all. Yeah, that's specific to the Renaissance Heavy Cavalry sprue.
wow. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, it's such a disappointment. Um,
Well, and with the number of heads that come in the Conquistador infantry set, it's almost like you could pick up the Renaissance heavy cavalry and use the heads from the infantry on the
exactly.
Renaissance heavy cavalry to make your own Conquistadors.
Well, the funny thing is, they both share the sprue with these dogs that come with those Conquistador helmets, also.
Oh, well, there you go. That's
Like,
yeah,
yeah, like there's no point of picking up the Conquistador cavalry set unless you really, really want specifically like unarmored like sleeves, essentially.
mm,
Um, like yeah, it's just a disappointment. Um, yeah. Outside of that, like if you're they look fine, but I also don't even know if conquistadors historically would have gone that light in armor, actually. I don't think they did. Obviously, like the jungle is hot and everything and humid, but I think a lot of them kept with either like chainmail or like kept their full plate on anyways, because a lot of the native of South America could not penetrate full
no,
plate.
that's a good point. I guess there's an argument you could use these for like Iberian campaign, but they wouldn't be conquistadors at that point, right? It'd be more just like tercio adjacent
Yeah,
kind of. But
I don't.
um, it's still just it's I I think everyone would agree that the heavy cav look cooler, and if
Yeah,
they come with more options,
yeah, for sure. And they just come with more options. Both of them come with the sprue with the these mastiffs. You get like
yeah,
a ton of them actually. You get a lot of mastiffs,
Nice.
which I appreciated it because I'm using them for like flagellants for my army now. But
Sweet. Very
yeah,
nice.
yeah. I love the gun options that are included here. Um, but that being said, I forget how many, but you don't get the option of dual wielding a lot of the pistols, or you don't have a lot of options of left-handed pistols, which is kind of a shame. I think there's only
Mm.
one left-handed pistol, which is kind of disappointing. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and it is nice that they include both wheel lock and flintlock pistols, though. So that's
Well,
nice.
that's cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
just span a little bit of time period there.
Also, calling them heavy cavalry is a little bit wrong. Also, historically, these are probably more like light cavalry, actually, or pistoliers, more or less,
Sure.
because they're in half plate. They're not full plated. And that was my other, I guess, complaint about these sets. I would like to see them do a Renaissance like full plate cavalry armor. Um, and like just like talking about it before, we need more Renaissance miniatures out there, more Renaissance plastics.
Yep, for sure.
But after that long-winded talk, I'd probably give like the Conquistadors like I kind of want to call them a C or a D. It's just a disappointment, basically. Uh,
Sure.
it's like it comes with a lot of stuff, but it's just like why not just get this set instead?
Sure, could have been much more. And
Yeah,
right, that's even comparing it to itself, right? Like comparing Wargames Atlantic products to other Wargames Atlantic products.
yeah.
So,
And you can even kind of
how
see
about
that in like the reviews here. Like this is like the only I think 3-star, only 2 reviews, but this is the only 3-star I've seen so far of that set
yeah.
from anything from Word Games Atlantic. Yeah, I would say Heavy Cavalry goes to A and like Conquistador Cavalry goes to C.
All right.
Yeah, sorry, I had a lot to talk about there and a little bit
That's
rambly,
great.
but
That's great because I had nothing to say about this.
yeah,
So,
yeah, I figured you didn't have those sets, so I don't know.
yeah, it's
Um,
a shame because I could use them. So, but I'll definitely be picking up the Renaissance
yeah,
like you
get the
said and
Renaissance.
Conquistadors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Just and I know there was a sneak peek that they are going to be making more Renaissance kits, right? We just don't know what they are yet.
Yeah, well, we know that there's going to be Foot Knights because, well, at least I should say that I heavily suspect it will be Foot Knights based on the fact that there's two like secret Renaissance kits
Yeah,
on the horizon, and they, in many cases, use their 3D printing arm as like a test case for a plastic kit. Like the Halfling Cavalry is the perfect case study because the 3D print for it is identical to what ended up on the sprues for the plastic sets, the exact same thing.
right.
So anyway, so all that is a again long-winded way of explaining that they have 3D options for Foot Knights,
Yep.
and I think that that's going to be one of the plastic sets.
Huh, I hope so. Um, I think we'll quickly talk about like the War of Independence set. So there's the Foot Grenadier set, which are basically just British riflemen, essentially.
Yep.
Uh, they're this is almost exactly like the Warlord Games versions of like their Napoleonics, honestly, with backpack, torso, and
Yep.
like there's not a lot of choices. Um, and normally I would have a problem with that, but I think I'm okay with it just because this is what this like these kinds of games are just about. Is just a lot of like rifles, and that's really it. Like if you look historically at these things, there wasn't a lot of variation. Um,
I agree. I'm actually, yeah. It's funny you bring up the Warlord connection because those Warlord sculpts are Wargames factory sculpts. They were some of the last Wargames factory miniatures that were produced were for the American War of Independence. I think they did some like Woodland Indians too, if I'm
yep,
not mistaken.
yeah,
Um, so it's just interesting seeing Wargames Atlantic do their own take on it. And yeah, I think they look good. I would like to see more. I think their Minutemen are a better
yeah,
set than the
they,
Grenadiers,
yep,
just owing to the variety of poses and options. Because I'm always looking more for some more like Napoleonic and American War of Independence figures for use in skirmish games. Like we have so many options from Perry, from Victrix, from Warlord for mass battles.
yeah,
Stuff that everybody's just kind of at port or shouldered weapons, to
yeah,
be put in mass formations. So it'd be cool to have lots more people like in skirmish formations for things like Silver Bayonet,
yeah. That's the
right?
game where Dracula's America or something as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
But also it's $35 for 30 miniatures, so it is actually a bit cheaper than some of their other stuff, price wise. Um,
That's so interesting. I like again, I keep coming back to like the pricing angle in this, where it almost seems like they're pricing stuff based on demand, which isn't like a wrong thing to do. Where basically like month to month or quarter to quarter, you look at like what is selling well, and then you increase that stuff in price, and what's selling poorly, and you decrease that in price. So in theory, everything is
I mean,
selling at
I guess it's also cheaper just because of what you're getting. Like, there's not a lot of variation here, and there's not a lot of extra bits you're getting. So I guess from that
Well,
perspective,
that's another point too. Yeah, like we're about to get to the Prussian Reserve, which is the best value per miniature they offer,
yeah,
but also the least versatile in terms of sets.
yeah. What would you say this is? This is like pretty much on brand with anything from their older, I guess, kits from Warlord games, almost.
Well, yeah, I think that's true. That it's hard to criticize them for lack of variety when, as you said, like that's what people want for this. Other than like us, who I think we're the anomalies that want more like skirmish oriented
Yeah.
figures. A lot of people are putting these on multi bases for use in mass battles. So yeah, I think it is as advertised, and a lot of those people too really like easy to assemble and paint miniatures.
Yep.
The black powder crew.
Well, when you have so
So
many
yeah, I think
miniatures, you have to paint. Like, yeah,
yeah, exactly. If you've got 500 miniatures to put on the table, I'm not trying to spend an hour per miniature. So
yeah.
anyway, yeah, I think that I like the Minutemen one tier more than the Grenadiers, just owing to the aesthetic and my American bias.
So,
So, uh,
you know what? Why don't we review that then, and then basically based on where we put this, we put the other one.
sure.
And I just picked this setup actually because I want to make vampire or like undead with them actually.
Cool.
Yeah. I think this set is actually a really cool set. I looked at the sprues and I was like, I think I can make some like cool undead miniatures with these. Um, and yeah, this has a lot of different like choices and just arms and stuff, which I really appreciate. And they're way more unique looking. Um, yeah. What are your thoughts though?
Yeah, just I mean the first feeling that I got from it was the movie The Patriot. Like
Yeah.
some of the characters within that, it almost seems like that was the template that they were going for. But yeah, lots of different poses. Looks like some different firearm types. Like there's a pistol option in there
Yep.
too. Some I can't remember if this is the one where some of the shouldered weapons were muzzled down, or if that was the Warlord, formerly Wargames Factory ones. But regardless, I think it's really well done. I think it's nice and versatile and could be used for either mass battles or for skirmish games, owing to some of those poses.
Yeah, for sure. And you can this doesn't have to be used for War of Independence also. Like this just has a lot of use. Um
Yeah,
Also again, $35 for 30
30
miniatures.
minutes.
It's the same
Yeah,
price. Wow.
yeah.
That does make it even more appetizing to me actually. Um
How about A for the Minutemen and B for the Grenadiers?
yeah, that seems fair. I was considering maybe S, but I don't think it gets that far. Um yeah.
Well, we're in the home stretch now, people.
Yeah, we're getting close. We've got Napoleonics next. Uh, and we talked just briefly, you mentioned the Prussian Reserve, so we'll start with that. These are so basic, but I think they're
Yeah.
very much appreciated for how basic they are.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what a lot of Napoleonic players want. Is I just want to be able to stick a head and or a backpack onto the figure and slap it on a four model base and be done. And that's what this is going to offer you for a let's just like 65 cents a
Six,
miniature US.
oh, that is so many models for that
Yeah,
price. Yeah, that's
yeah,
insane value right there.
yeah.
Also, I will mention with like all these like more 1700s and 1800 sets is that these are also work well for Turnip 28. Also,
Oh yeah, great point.
I
Yeah,
forgot about that. Maybe less so this set, but if you're just looking to get into that game very cheaply and with a friend, you could just split one of these boxes and
yeah.
that would be
Smash a
enough.
bunch of different heads on them. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Um, I kind of want to call this an A just based on price and for what you're
yeah. The
doing.
value's insane. Yeah.
Yeah, 60 models. Holy cow. Yeah, no, that's not very often you see that. So I feel like
And
this.
again, my criticisms are things that are actually like by design for the Napoleonic gaming crowd, who they want poses just like that. Right? These ones even have the backpacks attached,
Yeah,
or do they
exactly.
have backpacks?
Yeah, like some of them don't have like this sleeping bag. That's it.
Yeah, yeah.
Also,
And yeah, you got a couple of different head options there. You got Shakos and you've got the Prussian caps. So
yep. Um, yeah, no, A is fine with me. The British Rifleman. So if you're a big fan of Sharps rifles, I feel like this is a kit made for you.
it is.
like,
Yeah,
um, and that makes a lot of sense. This set has more variation though, which is nice.
it does. Yeah, in fact, Paul Stanley just reviewed this set along with some other Napoleonic stuff, and I can't remember what his assessment was. I remember that he found them to be slightly big, and I can't remember if it was this set or I watched like all of his Napoleonic videos back to
Mhm.
back. But that there was something fiddly when putting these together, or
Just
maybe to do with the poses.
looking at these pictures, something does seem a little off. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know. um, Also, it's another half sprue, and how many do you get? You get 32 for 38, so that's a pretty good value.
How many
Uh,
miniatures are per sprue?
that's what it
Was
was
it
about.
4 miniatures per sprue and then
Here's an
8 sprues?
here's a problem. You're gonna have a decent amount of guys kneeling, which,
Yeah, it's true. I guess it's okay for a rifleman, but you're right. That's 8 of them out of 32.
yeah. Yeah, I feel like this is another kit that maybe should have been redone, honestly. I don't know when this
Sure.
this kit came out, to be fair.
It was the earlier. Yeah, it was
It
one of the earlier
it
ones,
does
right
seem
after the
like
half things.
it does seem earlier. Like I appreciate the variation here that we have compared to the other ones, I guess, but I would say this is like a B.
Yeah, I think it's a B. I think this was the set where the scale was like bigger than the Victrix and Warlord alternatives.
They do
Or
look,
no, I don't think they're.
just from the pictures, they do look a bit off, honestly. I don't know how to describe it, but
Yeah, I think this was one instance though where actually I don't think there's that many riflemen. I'm not super familiar with the Napoleonic ranges. I just know who makes them, but I know
yeah.
that I don't think there's much in the way of British rifles for multi-part plastic. So that is cool. But would you put this at B?
Yeah, I just put it at B.
Yeah, it's B. It's a B.
Yeah. And then this one actually does have a lot of competition in terms of plastic, I think. French infantry
Yeah,
and
it's true.
great.
French infantry. Yeah,
Yeah. Um, and I think these look really good. But
they
this is a
do.
newer set, I think. Yeah, 2025 is what it says on the sprue here. Piano Wargames? Did someone else make this?
Yes, and in fact, I was going to ask you. I was hoping you knew, like, who the hell's Piano Wargame? Like, I see in the comments of all of these other review videos, everybody's like, as though it's a celebrity. Like, oh my god, Piano Wargames, thank God. But again, I'm not in the Napoleonic crowd,
Yeah,
so
I don't know
apparently
either.
it's a very well-known name. Everybody was like super thrilled when they found that Piano Wargames had joined up with Wargames Atlantic to produce these. They look fantastic, though. I
Yeah,
completely agree. Like on par with some of the best Perry sculpts that I've seen in Napoleonics.
for sure. Like I'm just looking at this like sprue in specific here with the axe, the swords, and like these bodies. Like this is fantastic. This is
Yeah.
a great set actually. And I love the head options too. Yeah, damn. And it has all the different kind of like you have Shakos here, and I don't know what this kind of style of hat is called, but I really like it. Bicorn. That's what it is. Yeah, no, this is
Yeah, they're excellent.
yeah, this is a six set. I would consider this S almost actually.
Yeah, and in fact, it seems like they've designed the bodies in such a way that they can be used either to have them in a marching pose or in a skirmishing kind of pose.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's separate sprues or what, but they look excellent.
yeah. It seems like they in this like little instruction here, it shows you how they can be assembled with, and the fact that they have a guy like biting and panning the prime
I
and
love that. Yeah,
yeah,
again, Perry does that with a few of theirs. I think it's the
yeah,
British Riflemen.
yep,
They have them like biting the cartridges off as a firing line. That's I would make all of my Napoleonic army like that. Like everybody was just one giant firing line.
yeah.
I think it
Uh,
looks so cool.
And again, great for turnip. This is even better in my opinion for turnip 28 because you can have
Yeah.
your leaders and then your guys here, and it's 38 or 28 models, so it's a little less, but way more variation, better poses, and more bits. This has got to
Yeah,
be
they're
S.
beautiful models. Yeah, Stroman S. They're great.
Like just looking at a set, like a set, and it tempting me is a really good sign. So
Yeah.
yeah. And then we have Imperial Conquest. So this is You mentioned the boxers earlier. This is like the very, very niche stuff where I never expected any of these in my life to be plastic miniatures.
Well, it's funny you say that because the Afghan warriors specifically has a parry problem in the way that their Baron's War range has a Victrix
Oh,
problem. Because
really?
Parry Miniatures has, I can't remember if it's called Afghan Warriors or not. It might also just be called Afghan Warriors or Afghan Tribesmen, I think maybe is what they called theirs.
Right.
That is basically this subject matter, but just better. Like
Ah, okay.
everything on the Perry side, I think looks better. So again, as a standalone set, they look really cool. It's a neat number of options. It has those like Giselle
Yeah.
musket options, which all look really well done.
Yep.
It's just again, it is a half sprue, which is inherently limiting, and it has really phenomenal competition from the Perry. I'll call it Afghan Tribesman set.
Oh, that's a shame. I didn't know that Perry actually made models for this as well.
About 40 miniatures for 40 models, I
Yeah,
think,
that's
something
pretty
like
good.
that.
Yeah, it's 40 models here for 38.95. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah,
B,
it's B.
B, yeah. And what about the Afghan cavalry? Do they have an alternative for that?
I don't think so. At least off the top of my head, I don't think the Perrys have a plastic Afghan cavalry set.
All right. Well, that's something for it then. But again, it's the half sprue problem, but
There's a
still,
couple neat poses in this one too. There's like one arm, if I remember right, that's like pulling a saber
yeah,
out.
I was just looking at
Uh,
that and I thought that was really cool actually.
yeah, there's a couple neat little inclusions like that,
It just
which is
needs
fun.
it needs more arms, honestly. Like if this was just a full sprue, they could do so much more with this. But like I really doubt this is a kit they're gonna be redoing anytime soon because who's that?
I don't think they ever will. Yeah,
Yeah, it's cool for what it is, and I'm sure the people interested in the subject matter appreciate that it
yep,
exists. So
agreed. I think it's another B.
yeah. All right. And then we've got the boxers. I don't think anyone makes boxers. And
No,
I guess this is kind of like a set you can use from mid 1800s to like 1920s, I suppose. Even later than that, you could go, I think, with this set in terms of history with what you can do with it.
yeah, I think it's specifically pinned to the late 1800s. I think the Boxer Rebellion was the
1890.
1890s.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think as you say, if you excluded some of the period specific firearms, and there's not that many firearms in there, if I remember
Yep.
right. There's like a Luger type pistol and some other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could absolutely have a workable set for the earlier 1800s without any issue, or even as you say, into the early 20th century,
Yeah.
which would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. It was another B set. It was cool, just even by virtue, as you said, of there being zero alternatives on the market. I don't even think in metal. Like I don't think anybody does boxers.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some niche like metal miniature company that
Sure,
has it. I'm always surprised with what metal miniatures I can find basically.
sure, that's true.
Um 30 models also for 38.95. Pretty good value. I would still call this maybe a B. Well, actually, I don't know if that's true. There's like so many good like cool and unique weapon options here too, actually, that was specific to the
It was fun.
yeah.
It was still a B for me. I agree.
Y- Yeah, B. All right.
Yeah, it's B.
B for boxer. There we go. What do we have next? We did all of the historic. Oh, we've got World War I and World War II.
I have World War I and World War II on my and then a handful of
General,
accoutrement
yeah,
items
there's
in there
not
if you
much
wanted to
left.
touch on those.
I have them on the tier list. I might as well. But we're coming to the end here. And some of these sets I think we can quickly go over. But first one we have is the German infantry. I got these before Trench Crusade was announced, or even I heard of Trench Crusade. I got these for a game called Last War, which I think Wargames Atlantic now sells a kit for as well. But
Oh, interesting.
yeah, it was just like a Forbidden. I don't know if you've heard of Forbidden Song, but it's kind of like a skirmish game. But this was
Mm.
like a World War I like horror skirmish game, which seems really cool. And I think it's kind of cooler in some ways than Trench. But anyways, this set is pretty cool in my opinion. I really like all the different weapon, the head options specifically. Like you have the gas mask helmets, you have like the early period pickle haub, and then you have the caps, and then you have the stall helms. So you have like basically every version of German infantry you could ever want, basically, if you're going for a specific period in World War I.
Yeah,
Um,
there's my only critique. This is kind of specific to the World War I range here, where I don't know if it's because there were some of the earlier sets, but if you go back to that first picture with the six miniatures
yeah,
that were painted,
yeah,
there's like see that rifleman on the lower right hand side,
yeah.
like his arm. There's something off
Oh
about
yeah, he
some of the
looked.
arms
Yeah, I
where
see what you're
it's
talking
like
about.
rubber hosy, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's a minor critique, but I guess the firearms are like a kind of defining feature of a lot of World War era figures. So, but yeah, I saw that on a couple of different sets within the World War I range, where it was like some of the arms look like they're kind of like wrapped around the weapon
yep.
in an unusual way. But otherwise, I dig the aesthetic. Again, does anybody else make World War I era plastics?
Plastics? No, I don't think so.
No, so I mean that's pretty darn cool.
Like that was the big reason I got this is because World War One is like a little bit of a niche topic in like wargaming in general, I would say. Like it's usually either Napoleonic or World War Two, and it's just in between those two basically, so it's never touched really. So
I
this
wonder if that is just like a chicken egg situation where like is it only less popular because nobody makes plastics? Like you know what I mean? Like
that's
or is
tr-
it less popular and therefore nobody makes plastics? I don't know.
well also
This is
it's
interesting.
I think it's also from a gameplay perspective of do you want to sit in a trench and shoot guns or like you
That's a
have
good point.
I think you have to have one side being the horde that pushes like the machine gun line and then how do you balance that and then
That's a good point. And the armor is such a defining part of World War II. Like I
yeah
know that's why a lot of people like playing World War II era games is for the armor, and that there wouldn't have been much for World War I.
but the armor that does exist in my opinion is really cool.
Yeah,
I still really like this set and this set obviously great for Trench Crusade, works for Turnip 28 too.
yeah,
uh I don't know, I would say this is like an A for me.
yeah. Throw it in A, man.
I think almost all the World War One sets are I'm gonna rate pretty highly just because they're the only ofs the World War One sets. And I think this one is probably my favorite of the World War One sets is the French one,
Yeah.
which also works for World War Two. It's basically the same uniform and same weapons for the most part.
Yeah, I think the date range even says that, right? It's like 1916 to 1940
1940.
or something like that.
Yep,
Yeah.
you're right. I don't think they were still using a certain machine gun, but I could be wrong about that. Um, oh yeah, I think they were using this. Oh, does it come with both machine gun options? Maybe it does. And that's like a small detail that only like super historical people will really care about. That one of the
Yeah.
LMGs isn't being used in World War II. Again, lots of different helmet options and head options. And all of these ones I think come with gas masks, if I'm not mistaken, as well, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Um, Also, if you're on the cheaper end, like you could use these for what are they called? Deathcore of Krieg. Also,
Free, yeah. Just swap some heads out. And actually, you could use like the German heads on these bodies.
yeah,
That's a Krieger, right?
yeah, exactly. Again, I think this belongs in A.
Yeah. Great.
And then the British one also pretty good actually. I think these actually are better sculpted. I think they have like the
I
less
agree. They're
like the
more recent.
yeah. Um, yeah, I think this is a really good kit too.
Yeah, remarkably similar, actually. Speaking of like the French uniform and equipment being so similar from World War I to World War II, that I've reviewed the World War II British Expeditionary Force, and it's truly remarkable just how similar the uniforms are.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think you probably could get away with using them and people wouldn't bat an eye, really.
No, I don't think so. I think I prefer these, if only because the was it the Enfield rifle they were using? They have the bayonets. Like so many of the World War I era models have bayonets affixed, and I just think that's a nice,
It's a
it's a
cool,
cool look to them.
yeah. Did you call them Einfield? It's Enfield.
Listen, man, we're gonna go into my pronunciation of things, the correct Philadelphia way to say things.
Einfield, I'm gonna remember that. Where do you want to put that? This one?
Albert Einstein? Would you say Albert?
No, that's Albert Einstein, but that's EI. Enfield is EN.
Oh, is it En?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my mistake.
Well, I'm Canadian. My grandfather was in World War II, so I kind of know the Enfield at least a little bit, to be fair. Would you put this in A?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
They're all great kits. Again, we got what that the German MGs and the Russian infantry
yeah.
are the other World War I sets.
Russian infantry. I think they have the coolest looking gas masks. But that's just more just how they look. Uh,
Yeah, very 40K coded for me. Like I could
yeah,
absolutely see making like a sweet ass guard army based on this kit.
yeah. I was gonna say these look great. They remind me a lot of like Stalker or like Zona Alpha. You could use these for as well. Like
Yeah,
these work for post-apocalyptic figures. Um, yeah, I don't really have much more to say about that.
yeah,
I think they also just belong in A. Like I think everything Great War is just gonna be A.
yeah. They're
Uh,
fantastic. I really like the poses on that one too. I don't know if that was a more recent one as well, but
I
some
think
of the
this I think this was 2022 or something.
okay.
Maybe the
Yeah, I
sprue
like
will
how
tell
some
me.
of them are in like running poses. At least one was like swinging the butt of his rifle down. Like there's some neat takes there that are different from some of the earlier sets.
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot more posing. Yeah, that's a good point. Then there was the MG08 crew. I was surprised they even made this set. Um, just felt odd, in my opinion, to just make a MG08 set, and you get three of them, I think. Or you
That's
can,
interesting because it's the what's the other heavy the Grenier that we saw in the Death Fields range that
yeah,
has
that had a,
six
yeah,
command.
yeah,
Interesting. Well, yeah, for the price point, which is the same, right? 38.95 for three MGs. Again, comparing Wargames Atlantic to itself. Um, that's got to take it down a tier, right? They do look great though, don't they?
yeah. I do like these poses a lot. I think it's more miniatures, like single guys, to be fair on a base, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
So it's three guys, three times. It's like nine, I guess, guys that you get. No, it's still not great in term compared to that Grognard set. Um, but yeah, it does look cool, and I really like the posing. But
Yeah. Yeah,
uh,
call it a B then.
yeah, B is B is fair. Where are they? HFG. All right, and then we've got World War II. Um,
Yeah. Where do you want to start?
let's start with just the generic, I guess, people that work like just soldiers, and then I'll talk about the resistance last. So Panzer Lair look terrible in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't like these.
This is
This is
so
another one. You compare these to Warlord or to the only World War II kit that Victrix has
yeah, I
out
was the
is
Panzer
the
Grenadiers. Yeah,
yeah the German late war infantry. So yeah, I don't think these look good either, especially compared to how successful I think the World War One infantry is.
yeah, it's a shame. Um, it looks like they have good like variations on stuff, but this they just don't look good. Um, I think
Also, just a strange take, right? Like again, if you're going to compare it to the Warlord kit that's on the market, like you got to do something differently, right? Than what is already out there, and I
yeah,
don't think this one does.
and it's supposed to be specific to like the Panzer Lair, which is was like the like what every German like infantry was supposed to be based on. So they were like supposed to be more elite and well trained, and these guys just look goofy. It's yeah, I got
Yeah, look
nothing.
at the bottom left, that like stick grenadier pose,
Oh
where
yeah,
he is like squatting down,
they're
left arm's
very
relaxed.
very like plastic toy soldier like
That's it. That's
yeah.
exactly what it is. Yeah,
Uh, price wise, I guess it's fine, but I think this is a D.
yeah, it's down there.
That's pretty bad, unfortunately. Then next one we have actually they have the German sentries. Just talk about that one next because again German infantry. So um,
This is what I was talking about with like do something differently, right? Like
yeah,
I don't think there is another Sentry kit on the market. Now this is clearly designed for skirmish play. Was released alongside the British SAS, like the
yeah,
Commandos. So this is cool because this is a unique take on something. Like if you're gonna do the same subject matter, at least do a different
yeah,
style.
yeah, for sure. Like I think these sculpts aren't the best. Still, some of them look a little goofy, but like
Hmm.
at least there's different sculpts and different posing that makes them unique. And the officer it's himself looks very good and menacing, right?
Yeah, 10 dogs, I think too, if as the German shepherds. I think
Yeah,
there's 10 within the set, which is cool. So
yeah,
great for skirmish play. Even just for dioramas, right? You have some relaxed German sentries or on patrol,
yeah. You can do a lot
whereas
of.
everything else.
Also, I don't have this kit, but I'm sure you could probably kit bash them with like bolt action kits, probably decently enough.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah. But like you said before, the Victrix German Panzer Grenadiers, I know it's a different like part of the war, but they're just better. I would say this one is at least a B, though.
Yeah, it's called a B. It's middle of the pack there.
Yeah. Then we have the Italian infantry, which Warlord Games does produce Italian infantry also. Um, I think they're more or less pretty much the same. I don't actually think the Warlord ones are that bad. Um, and I think the Warlord ones actually make the I forget their Italian name, but the guys with the feathers, the Mountain Guard or whatever.
Yeah, it looked like, at least from the picture anyway, that this is supposed to also be able to make
Oh
the
yeah, it does. It does. I
yeah.
I don't remember what their names are, like the Alpini or whatever. I can't do Italian, so I'm not gonna bother.
Add it to the list of German, French, and Swedish.
Yeah, just anything in Western Europe can't pronounce. Um, but it's a cool set. I don't know if it's better or worse really than the Warlord set though. It's pretty much on par, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, call it a B then.
Yeah,
It's middle of the pack.
like nothing stands out to me. I appreciate that there's World War II Italian kits out there. Um, for whatever reason, in my area, my LGS, a lot of Italian players. I don't understand that.
Really?
Yeah,
Hmm.
very odd. Um, it's not because they're Italian or something, even. So I questioned it even more.
The Italian Canadian population.
Yeah. All right. We've got the SAS Commandos, which you briefly mentioned. Again, I believe there's definitely is a bolt action set of this also.
There is.
Uh,
Yes.
is it worse or better than this? I really don't know, to be honest.
There's some cool options in this. This was a fun set. I really enjoyed this one. I ended up kit bashing it with the British Expeditionary Force
Oh
to make
yeah,
just a bunch of, early commando types.
yeah.
And yeah, there's some neat things like there's a Thompson like submachine gun like with a drum barrel in this one,
Oh
if I remember right.
oh yeah, with the classic Tommy gun. That's awesome.
Yeah, so that was fun. Or maybe that was on the Expeditionary
That
Force
might be
HQ too.
Expeditionary
Anyway,
Force. Yeah,
yeah. So, but anyway, there's a lot of cool options in here, and a lot of neat head options too, like paratrooper type heads and the ones with the berets.
right.
It was fun. It's a fun little set.
Uh, where would you put this then? Because if you have
It's an A for
A,
me. Again, I haven't dealt with the Warlord one, but this is a
yeah,
good
I
set in
haven't
its own
really
right.
either. So good enough. And then the Expeditionary Force, which this set looks better in my opinion, actually.
This was a great set. This is actually one of the first sets, might be the first set that Wargames Atlantic sent to me to review. And it's excellent. It really is well done. Again, it's just so funny that it looks so similar to the World War One kit. Um, but yeah, some great options within it. I think there's a laying down pose,
Hmm.
which is not going to be for everybody, right? But that's going to be one of the 6 models on each sprue. It's going to be in a prone position. So
Oh yeah,
it's
I
just
see
something
that
of
now.
note.
Right.
Yeah, I think there's like a mortar operator that's and
Yeah.
you can turn him into a machine gunner if you want. So
Okay. I mean, it has multi-use that way as well.
yes, this is functional model for sure.
Yeah, then that's fine. I think that's good. And I see the guy in the back there with the Tommy gun, which I love that Tommy gun. So
Yeah,
that's
it's great.
um, and yeah, I would like to see these kind of the kit bashing options you could have with that World War One set of the British. Actually, you could probably do some fun things with the two sets.
Agreed.
Um, so what do you think, eh?
I think it's an A. Yeah, it's a good one.
Right. And then we have the Partisans, which I was very excited that we got Partisans actually, plastic partisan miniatures here. Um, they specifically say French, but I think these could work for also Polish or any Western European occupied countries, essentially. Or
Agreed. Yeah, yeah.
a friend of mine, actually, because we love Call of Cthulhu, was using these to make our characters in like an RPG, basically, because it was set in this period. So
That's awesome.
yeah, no, this is a really good set. I think these are actually better in my opinion than the civilian survivor set. I know that's more modern, but in terms of just like civilians and how they look, I feel like these are more detailed.
Yeah, there's so many cool options within this too, and yeah, the applicability even beyond World War II games, right? Like you had mentioned, Call of Cthulhu. There's the the Dead Man's Hand has a like 1940s or 1930s variant of the game where
Mhm.
you're like gangs
Yeah,
fighting each
mobsters,
other.
mafia.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, I could absolutely see utility there. So there's a lot you could do with a generic, and even the attire. You could absolutely have these represent people up until like the Cold War,
yeah. I was gonna
just as
say,
kind of generic clothing.
yeah, really. Like I could see these in the '70s even still. Like,
Yeah,
um, yeah. And then there's also the French Resistance woman set, basically more or less the same thing. I think you could say about the same. One thing I guess is that they're all in dresses or skirts. I guess so. Not all of them are gonna wear pants. I guess, or none of them wear pants. So maybe less so in versatility in certain periods. I guess.
yeah. To me, this is more period specific,
Yeah.
whereas the men, because of the, and that's just the the nature of being able to wear pants, I guess.
Yeah.
But the men, I think you could use that set into a much. But again, you're gaming, do whatever you want, right? But
Yeah.
I
Also,
agree. There's
and this set is less. This set is also, I would say, more specific to Western Europe as well. I feel like
sure that's true.
the men, I feel like you could argue for maybe like a little bit more central, like Polish uprising. I guess these that they could work for that as well, but less so, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, they
Uh,
could work. I would. I'm also now thinking, got my wheels turning about like a Red Dawn kind of situation with like American civilians instead repelling, I guess, like Germans during World War II or something like that.
oh, that'd be
That
a
would be a fun kind of
yeah.
scenario.
Oh, you could even do that with British, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
Operation Sea Lion
Hmm.
or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Uh, maybe I
Or you
wish.
could make these like German civilians during like the fall of Berlin or something like
Oh
that.
yeah,
To the
that's true.
opposite.
These could work for Volksturm, both of them
Yeah.
actually pretty well. I was just gonna say the weapons that they chose are interesting. That we see the U.S. grease gun here and the Thompsons.
Sure. And there's a MP40 down there too, isn't there?
Yeah,
I think
there's
there's a
MP40.
mixture of.
Yeah, actually, these sets they have some versatility to them. So I'd
I think they're
say,
excellent.
where would you put them? I was thinking A and for both of them. I was kind of tempted S for the first one, but
I think it is another situation, yeah, where the just owing to the wider versatility, I think the men are up a tier.
yeah,
Sorry, women. That's the patriarchy speaking again, isn't it? It's
yeah,
ridiculous, but it's more just yeah that you could use that in a whole host of different settings.
yep. All right, and then it's just general accrements left. How exciting! I don't know how long we've been going for, almost like 3-ish hours or maybe
Yeah,
longer.
we're almost gonna hit this this week. We can duck under the 3 hour mark.
Yeah, well,
We're almost there.
geez. All right.
It's all right. It's what the people needed.
Yep. All right, dead animal bits. I just got this set also just because I wanted antlers and a bunch of bones and stuff for my beastmen, and this set is great for that. I love all the. It's kind of weird to call it dead animal bits and then have all these corpse bits of humans though.
I saw that too. It was so curious. Yeah, I was surprised not to see. I was actually surprised not to see more like skulls
And
within it.
there are zero, like there's just the bird skulls and there are no other skulls. You don't get any like deer skulls or goat skulls, and that's a big
Hmm,
disappointment actually.
interesting.
Um, I really like the fish, like the shark jaws though. I thought those were really cool bits.
Yeah.
And I think this is still a really useful kit to have. I would recommend getting a different set for just specifically skulls to go along with it. And
Hmm.
it price wise is a little bit questionable because it is a lot of bits, but it's still a lot for just using as an upgrade or for add-ons essentially.
Sure. I guess they're calling it 300 bits or something like that. But like, if it's a pair of horns, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I know. And it's the same thing repeated on these sprues also. Um, kind of want to call it a B. Like I like this set just for what it is, but I think
sure.
there could be a lot more added to it.
No,
Just needs skulls, and that set would have been way better in my mind.
these skulls.
Yeah. And then there's the horses set. How exciting! You get 18 horses. Um,
Yeah, there's two horse sets, right? There's the horses and the light horses, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, is there? I didn't include.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. They're going to go in the same category anyway, right?
Yeah.
But
I don't know. They look like horses to me. They look good.
I think this is great. I absolutely love this. Even just to like, because there are some companies that make horses that are too small or maybe look a little bit goofy.
That's true.
And so, yeah, maybe you do love the rider, but you don't like the horse as much, or you want the horse to match, say, your War Games Atlantic stuff. Say you're using some Perry minute, even though the Perry horses are phenomenal. Maybe you don't want them because they're a little bit smaller, and you want them to match the War Games. This is a great play.
Yeah.
And I think it's good value. Yeah, unlike the
18 is a
chariots,
lot.
18 horses, yeah, for $35, something like that.
Yep. And also, just we haven't talked about this, but their horse design, especially their tails, is really good compared to some other horse designs I've seen for assembly. Like I have no
Agreed.
frustration at all. But like the first one I can think of are like the old Games Workshop horses. Those tails
Sure.
broke off all the time.
Yeah,
These
constantly. Yep.
these ones are just way better made.
Yep.
I would say this is an A.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
Again,
it's
I know the subject matter isn't as exciting as what we've been talking about, but this is a really good thing for the hobby.
yeah, no, it's really useful. Um, oh yeah, I do have light horses here. They're the same thing. Okay, no.
Yeah.
Uh, the Sorcerer's Spoils. I thought I would like this set more. And then I saw the sprues, and I feel like it just needs more.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like almost like that dead animal like set. Like it's missing stuff. I feel like that's needed for these kinds of things.
Yeah, I like the concept a lot, especially for like dungeon dressing, for an RPG or something like that,
Yeah.
or, putting together objective markers or, sprucing up a base for a
Yeah,
character or something like
exactly.
that. There's so much application for something like this. I agree. But I think it is like six duplicate sprues,
Yeah, it
if I'm not
is.
mistaken, is the way this set works.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's almost like you needed a different sprue. Like I would have liked two different sprues, and then maybe those are each duplicated three times instead of six, just for
Yeah.
some more variety.
I would like to see like mushrooms, small familiars like toads,
Oh, for
snails.
sure. There's so
Like
much you could do. Yeah.
yeah. Um but still a really cool set. I like the candles especially. I really like. The books are cool, but it just needs
And I
more.
love this direction. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I think
Yeah, and the idea
absolutely.
is like really really good. They need to do more stuff like this.
Yep.
I would put this one. This one I think is better than the dead animal bits. I'm still disappointed with some things you get though. So I feel like it does still belong in B.
Sure.
Like I'm close to saying it's A, but it's not there yet. And what else do we have? We have the market and barricade set,
Yeah.
which Victrix makes their own version of this, which is better.
They do. So the only
It's
difference is that the fixture set is not designed to work as barricades. You can make barricades, certainly.
right.
But this one is set up with bases to make barricades. Now, I
Yeah.
do know that there is some criticism of this set because it's advertised to make 8 barricades,
Hmm.
but you can only make 6. And I haven't
Uh,
reviewed the set, but I've seen multiple people make this comment that it's missing some integral bit in order to make the 7th and 8th barricades. So if you're making it for market stalls, you can use everything, or you could make 6 barricades and have some stuff left over for market stall. Minor grievance, but it's just noteworthy because it says you can
it,
make 8
but
barricades,
you can't.
and supposedly you cannot.
Okay. Well, that's a little bit of a shame. What I'm seeing here is still really cool. Like
Yeah, it's neat.
all the food and everything. I like, especially if you're doing something like Mordheim or any fantasy skirmish game. This is going to be really good and useful.
Agreed. Or
Uh,
medieval, right? Like
yeah, that's true. What's that game called? Pillage or whatever.
yep,
That.
yep.
But again, I looked at that Victrix one, and that looked way better than this.
It's really well done. Yeah, I guess there's an argument that if you need them, that you could have both, and that you'll
That's
have a
true.
nice variety of different types of stalls and sacks and food bits and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, maybe especially if you're like a gaming group, you could pick up one of each, and you've got plenty to play with on multiple tables.
true.
So
Where would you put this then?
that's a B.
Yeah. Um, I also included the upgrade kits in this tier list. I see Weird War conversion and Death Field's upgrade kit. I don't know if you even want to bother going through them, but they
Sure, you
exist.
might as well. I would call both of them either B or well, no, that's not true. So I would put B for the Death Field upgrade, but it is niche, right? Like it's
Yeah,
specifically to use in conjunction with the Le Grenier to basically turn them into Kriegers.
Yeah.
That's kind of the intent behind it. And it was a good kit. I remember working with it, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the bits that were there. I almost wish though, like it wasn't sold as a separate upgrade sprue. It's almost like that should have been included in the box as an option, but
Yeah.
whatever. The Weird Wars stuff is, I guess, as advertised, weird
Yeah.
because there's like the conversion bits that are in there are a lot of fun, but half of the sprue is dominated by standalone models. There's
The
like the
grubs and
slug
rats.
models, yeah, and the rats,
Yeah.
and it's just a shame because that's like 50% of the kit, and I didn't like any of those sculpts. I wanted more like Weird War conversion bits, right? Like give me some more arms and heads and weapons and stuff, not these slug things like trench slugs or whatever they called them.
Yeah. I
So
again, I think this is for that game called Last War.
it
Cuz
is, yes,
yeah. But like you said, I would have liked more, like those helmet options in there are really cool. Like all the head options are really cool, and I would have liked to see more of that. Um, and I guess on World War I, it would be nice to kind of see some of the armored trench raider kits that existed.
yeah,
Uh,
that'd be cool.
like there's a lot of cool historical examples of creepy or weird looking like World War I trench raiders with very unique, outfits and stuff, which would be really cool to see in World War I.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think if I remember right, I think the feedback on this one was that they weren't originally intending to make it in plastic, but there was enough demand for it because it was a 3D sculpt. They
Yeah.
had all these bits, and they're like, okay, fine, we'll make it in plastic. So, yeah, I guess my critiques are invalid that way. That obviously there's demand for this. But anyway, as far as where I sit, my using it for my own hobby, it's like a C for me, just because
Yeah.
again the bits are nice, but I don't need the rats or the slugs.
Yep. Also, they just don't. I think there could have been better rats. I don't like those rats
Yeah,
at all.
sure. That's a good point. You're gonna have three duplicate models of each pose too,
Yeah.
and I don't think they're that strong of sculpts.
Where did you put the depth field upgrade? B.
Yeah, B,
Yeah.
B, and then C for the Weird War.
Yep. That's where I put them, and that is it. Holy cow! That
Wow,
took.
you
I
did it, everybody.
I thought this would be shorter actually. But I guess we went on to tangents and stuff as well.
Yeah, it's my fault.
Uh,
Yeah, I've got too much to say about some of this stuff.
I
So
mean, if you got the time to talk, I'm sure people like long videos like this while they're painting and stuff. So
it's great for me too as an American. You know, we don't have health care, so this is like therapy for me. So this is great.
well, you're welcome then. Yeah. If you were interested in doing another video, would you want to do another tier list, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think so. At least I think that the most again the Victrix would be silly because it's all
It
like,
doesn't make
is
sense.
it S or is it A?
Yeah,
But I think North Star would be interesting too between their Frostgrave, Stargrave, and Oathmark ranges. That could be a lot of fun. But
that's true. Yeah, we
yeah,
could do that.
maybe this is where we do the typical YouTuber thing where we ask for the viewers to drop a comment below
Yeah,
to let us know what they would want to see.
yeah, exactly what they want to hear, basically. Well, I
Yeah.
hope. Thanks for doing this. I had fun doing this. This was a good talk, actually.
I always have fun, man. Thanks for inviting me back. I was surprised for the invite after all of the lawsuits from the last one, so I appreciate you having me. So,
Yeah, no problems. Well, take care, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.